slowing you down? It's time to take control of your health. Join Wellness Unlocked, the series that brings expert advice and real solutions for a healthier you. In our latest episode, learn how Jameson CoQ10 can help support heart health, boost energy, and even reduce migraines. Get the science, the stories, and the steps to power up your health with CoQ10. Don't miss Wellness Unlocked. Watch now on WESN and start your wellness journey today.
Take some time for yourself or spend some time with the family at Sandy Point Village Hotel. Enjoy our various studio and suite apartments, self-contained with their own kitchenettes and Wi-Fi. We also have our famous 100-foot swimming pool and our beachfront restaurant, the Steak and Lobster Grill. And our location in Crown Point puts us near the center of activity from the nylon pool to the local nightlife. Call us and make your reservations at 639-8533, 389-2378 or email us at sandypointvillagehotel@gmail.com.
Every word, every line, every paragraph depicts a real moment in someone's life. A father, a sister, a mother, a brother. We at Newsday are dedicated to you, the people, and through independent, unwavering journalism, strive to always bring your stories to life. Because your stories are more than just words. Newsday, independent and credible.
This is 10 questions. I'm Andy Johnson. The distance from where we should be in the world in going forward on our commitments with climate change.
The effects of climate change that cannot be accounted for, it's called loss and damage. And we're seeing loss and damage happening so much more in this decade and the previous decade.
The principal term there was this question of the correspondent banking issues.
That is why we're trying to build capacity with this country here, Trinidad and Tobago, and other countries in the region. Man
is not showing any signs of stopping or even slowing down. More than half of the forest in Trinidad is already gone.
All the plants and all the animals and all of the nice clean water and fresh air and everything had to be on this planet for humanity to have a chance.
We have small change when it comes to countries that can take decisions, and when they speak, the world listens.
The General Assembly is a very democratic forum. And Trinidad and Tobago has the same vote as Canada, in spite of the obvious difference in size.
This is Face of Sports, WESN Content Capital. How you felt about the kiss on the lip?
That's the business. I'm nothing to do with that.
I find that was distasteful.
The national senior team, whether you like it or not, that is the model for all other teams to follow.
I'm assuming that the regional requirement may be a much stricter requirement.
This is not about Pro League and Super League. This is a league run by the Normalization Committee that I'm responsible for.
Nobody expected FIFA to fund this arrangement.
If we don't get a professional attitude towards this, we are doomed for failure.
You break a balance, trip the leg, control the body.
They ain't gonna stand put forever.
Why you want the Chiefs to lose so? Why you want the Chiefs to lose so?
They already have two. Lamar don't
Why?
have.
You're jealous because you know the Chiefs getting closer to the Patriots. Let's go to the last part.
No,
no. Let's go to the last part.
We are tackling the hard-hitting topics, some controversial topics, some topics we sweep under the rug. You don't always have to forgive in a relationship for it to move forward.
If it is you are in a situation where you forgive the person, but to the detriment of yourself, what are you really doing?
It is very uncommon for somebody in the younger age group to have dementia.
Atheists don't not believe.
Is that I can't disprove God, but you also can't prove God. So we kind of at a stalemate.
We'll focus on the woman who's being the victim,
right,
or the man who's being the victim. We exclude the children.
Folks are trying to study the underlying brain mechanism to figure out how does this particular disorder happen in the brain? How is the brain processing this?
Don't worry about AI. Worry about humans working with AI.
Are you willing to learn new skills to stay relevant for the future job market? That's the challenge that people are going to struggle with.
WESN.
Good morning and welcome to AM Prime on WESN. I am your host, Jada McLeod. It's been a while since I've seen you guys. It's a pleasure to be back on. I was away for a little bit doing some other work specifically for the Parliament of Trinidad and Tobago. They had the regional youth parliament that happened a couple of days ago. So I was over there in representation of us. So big up Trinidad and Tobago, big up the TT Parliament. So it's such a pleasure to be back with you right here live in person once more. So this morning, we're doing something really fun. We are heading to France. And you guys have to forgive me, forgive my French. The Alliance Française is the main gateway to French language learning, culture, and community in Trinidad and Tobago since the year 1951. So they've been around a long time. And today we have the pleasure of having two representatives with us in studio to tell us all about what the Alliance Française does, what are they about, how long they've been doing what they've been doing, and what the history has looked like. So good morning and welcome. You guys can start with your names and then the different positions.
Sure. Thank you so much for having us.
Of course.
So my name is Anika Batista. I'm the director of the Alliance Française.
I'm Sylvain Leblanc. I'm the studies coordinator at the Alliance Française.
Okay. Can you repeat that for us?
Yeah. I'm Sylvain Leblanc, the studies coordinator at the Alliance Française.
Okay, so the studies coordinator.
Yeah, Sylvain.
Sylvain, yeah.
All right.
It's a really French name.
It's a really French name, and you're hearing the accent. I love the accent. We were actually having a quick discussion off air, and it was like a discussion of different accents. If he understands the Trinidadian accent, because we have a tendency to sing song and also speak really, really, really quickly, but he's doing an amazing job understanding us. Yeah.
Thank you.
So again, good morning and welcome.
Bonjour.
What is the Alliance Française in Trinidad and Tobago?
All right. The Alliance Française, as you said, has existed since 1951. We are a French school based in St. Clair, and we teach French to all ages, everyone who is interested. We have so many things to experience French culture right here in Trinidad and Tobago.
All right. So it's been around since 1951. Was it a family something or?
No, so it's actually an NGO, it's an association. We work with the French Embassy to put into place different initiatives in Trinidad and Tobago. So we are funded by the Ministry of Culture, by the Ministry of Education, by our own courses, of course, and also by different corporate partners to be able to implement French classes right here in Trinidad.
All right, so that's actually really great. So when you say all ages, there has to have like a starting age.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it's for everyone, from 6 years old to retirees. Yeah.
How do you go about teaching? Because I know when you're really young, you can learn any language, they say. But how do you go about teaching rambunctious 6-year-olds to sit down and learn French?
Well, we try to have fun, interactive class, and we really try to make them participate as much as they can. So we want them to be actor of the learning, so they can improve their language skill, etc., from the beginning to, yeah.
What types of techniques would you use for learning? Do you guys individually teach or?
Absolutely.
Yeah, we do. So as I said, we try to have interactive classes. We mainly focus on speaking, listening, reading, which are the main parts to learn a language. We have qualified teachers. Most of them worked or lived in France, so they know the language and most of all the culture, which is really important for us.
What would you say is the most challenging age to teach? Because I'm pretty sure it's not this exciting.
No, it depends. Maybe I would say teenagers probably, but adults can also be tough sometimes.
Yes.
Depends.
Depends on the motivation. I really feel like it. Because, for example, last year, our youngest student was 4 years old. That was my student. So it was all about getting him to settle down, play games. It's not about 4 years old, you're not about writing and learning these sounds. It's really, really different. So we use music, we use activities. It's really an immersive experience where we adapt to every level.
That is really amazing that you guys are doing. Amazing work you're doing. When it comes to the, like how long the programs are, how long can someone stay in a course of study?
All right.
So basically, we work on the CEFR, which is a European framework to assess the skills that you have in a language. At the Alliance, to go from a level to another, so from A1 to A2, for example, we said that we need almost a year. So our program is divided in 3 terms. Same as school here in Trinidad. And so you can go from A1 to A2 in a year, approximately.
At A1, A is beginner.
Yeah.
So A for beginners, B for intermediate, and C for advanced.
Oh, okay. Is there anything before A? Because all I know how to say is bonjour.
So if you're starting completely from fresh, you'll be A1. And that's about learning everyday expressions, saying bonjour, ça va, hi, how are you? And I'm fine, and things like that, and being able to introduce yourself. Really basic everyday expressions to get you functional. That's A1.
That is beautiful. You guys are hearing, you know, because she is Trinidadian, but hearing that beautiful French accent coming out straight, you know, very, very punctual, pungent. I love that. So I hear that you guys are doing an open day. Tell me more about that.
Absolutely.
Yeah, so we will have a G-Open Day on the 20th of September, so this Saturday. We will have French lessons, art games, cultural games, art workshop, testimonies from trainees who studied in France. We'll have some roundtables, and and so it's free. It's a free open day. You can come with a family. We will have a kids corner, and yeah.
That's really nice. So what was the reason behind having the open day?
Okay, excellent question. So in France, there's this concept of journée porte ouverte. So it really means open day, open house. And we really wanted to open our doors to welcome persons who don't necessarily know the Alliance Française, who haven't heard about us as yet, in spite of our intensive social media campaigns. And we really wanted persons to come to us to really explore the school and see what we do. As Sylvain said, to meet our teachers, to know more about the courses, to be able to register. And to really meet us and exchange. So we want to give persons a taste of France. There'll be French food. Refreshments will also be on sale. We'll have French music. We have different teachers who will really explain what they do and give a free open course, whether in French or patois, to persons coming into us. Yes, we also teach patois.
So you have to explore that a little bit more for me. For one, people who don't know, what is patois? What is the importance to Trinidadian culture?
All right, patois is so important to Trinidadian culture. It is a variation of French and English spoken historically in Trinidad and Tobago. That's a bit of social studies, but the French planters who came following the schedule of population with the Spanish also to Trinidad and Tobago settled in different areas. So we know that patois is still strongly spoken in different regions across Trinidad, especially in Paramin. Everyone thinks of Paramin first. There's also Talparo, places in Arima, close to Arima as well. And we know that patois is even taught in primary school in Talparo. There's a very strong community. There are different strong communities throughout Trinidad and Tobago and we want to support them. My grandmother spoke Patois, but did not teach us, did not want to teach us, wanted us to speak perfect English. And it's so rich culturally. There are words that we say every day in Trinidad and Tobago that come from Patois, that stem from Patois. When we talk about things like zabuka and fet and different words, that's our history. So we know that persons are interested in learning more, and we have an online Patois class, so we already have students across the world who will be learning with us this year, and we're offering everyone to join us.
I love that. I must say, I love languages. The study of languages, the study of culture. So just hearing about this, the fact that you don't only offer the French, but the Patois is amazing. That's great work. So what makes Alliance, I have to say it, I love to say it. What makes the Alliance different from other schools in Trinidad and Tobago?
Well, the Alliance is part of a global network all around the world. There is approximately 800 Alliance, so we are recognized internationally. We have a lot of certification that can help you to go immigrate, study in France or in a French-speaking country. And as I said, we really include the cultural part at the Alliance, which is really important for us. So yeah, that's pretty much it.
So after A1, then you have, you said it was B?
Yes.
One.
So A1, A2, A3 to really get the full experience of the beginner's level, and then B1 and B2, and then C1, C2.
All right, so after that course, full course of study, what is the expected outcome for a student?
All right, so there are different, yeah, I'll hand over to you, sure. So there are different objectives that really depends on what the student wants as well. So you can be a complete beginner, but you have a certain amount of time. So we discuss, and we can tailor the course to your needs. There have been persons who come to us to say that we want to go to France. We have 3 months to prepare. What can we do together? So usually the course is a year, of course, for the real, for the full experience. But if you have a certain objective, we can tailor the course. And of course, in 3 months, in less than 3 months, we did it. And persons were able to travel and at least be comfortable in French, understand how to take the metro on their own, because we explain all of that. We go further. It's not just about coming in, having a textbook and learning. That's one way of doing it, and we respect that. But our way is to have, of course, the educational component, but also go into culture and explain what Paris is like, what to go see, the tourist traps to avoid, how to take the metro on your own, how to order at the restaurant, everything that you would need to be able to survive.
A full French foundation.
Absolutely.
And so yeah, it depends on the profile. I mean, if you want to have an exam preparation for CICE, CAPE, for example, we have classes for that. If you want to travel, work, study, we also have classes for that. We prepare our students for what they want to achieve or for their goals.
So how does learning French help people in Trinidad and Tobago? Because I know we spoke about learning Patois and the importance of Patois to our culture, but are there any other reasons as to why we should be learning French?
Of course. So we believe that learning languages in general is so important for expanding your horizons and stepping out of your comfort zone, but also being able to grasp different opportunities. So for me, for example, my personal experience, so I'm Trini, absolutely, to the bone, and I studied here till 18. I did A-levels, now you know how old I am. I was the last batch of A-levels. So did that exam and went to France for 2 years initially, and ended up staying for 20. Because once you get there and you're living the experience, you want to do more. So lived, studied, worked in France. So we say that languages are a way of really expanding your possibilities. There are job opportunities that Sylvain will explain. Studying, it's really French is also the official language of so many important institutions. There's the United Nations, of course, the European Commission. Both are based here in Trinidad and Tobago. And French is the official language of those places where you can go for jobs as well.
So even so, then if we could add on to that, then specifically when it comes to the jobs.
Yeah, we strongly believe that have skills in another language helps you to work. It gives you an asset that is really, really valuable, and also it gives you, I don't know, some of open-minded, because you can go in another culture, discover other things, other way of thinking, etc. So it's really, in terms of personal and professional, it's really, really great to have another language.
A lot of people are trying to I guess, learn more because they want to travel more, they want, you know, better or more job opportunities. So this is one of those avenues, because, I mean, if you you study French here with Alliance Française, you study French here. She's my cheerleader. And then you go to France and you can end up staying for almost as long as Nika.
Absolutely.
Like 20 years? After just going for 2, I mean, did you come back home and your parents said, no, we want you here, we want you here? And then you said, bye, peace out.
I did come back home. I decided to come back home for family and also to give back, because when you receive so many opportunities, it's really important to be able to reinvest in your own community. So I wanted to come to Trinidad and Tobago to give back. So I started at the UN here and now at the Alliance.
Wonderful, absolutely wonderful. So, you said this is open to anybody, but when it comes to learning French, do you guys have a metric by which you say, well, this person, I'll take you in, this person, maybe not the best for Alliance?
It's not quite that, but we do have a free placement exam where someone who's really interested in learning French can come to us, and we assess you to know what level you are at, because so many people have learned French at school, whether in Form 1, Form 2, Form 3, did not necessarily pursue, but they still have certain bases. So we assess that, and then we place them in different classes. So we don't discard anyone.
Because sorry, go ahead.
Yeah, so I said, Anika, don't worry if you don't know your level. We can guide you through a free placement test that will help us to answer your needs and find the perfect classes for your goals. So we do the free placement test. In general, we do a little interview. It can be on the phone, it can be directly at the Alliance, which help us to know perfectly what you need.
When it comes to registration and fully being a part of the school, what is that like? What can people expect?
So it's super easy. You can find our registration link on our website, social media. You can do it by phone or in person at our open day that takes place Saturday? Saturday. Yeah.
For those Trinidadians, Trinbagonians who are very skeptical, you know, they may hear this and they're like, oh, I'm French people, they're not going to teach me nothing, How do you convince, you know, those individuals that this is not only something that'll be good for them, but something that is real? Because some Trinidadians are very skeptical about everything. Something that is real and something that would actually help them. So kind of give me an elevator pitch for Alliance.
Ooh, all right. So let's see, that's a challenging one. All right, so we are, where do I like?
Straight.
Sure. Yeah. So we are Alliance Française. We are the experts for learning French in Trinidad and Tobago since 1951. We are the only center in Trinidad and Tobago where you can have recognized DELF and TEF exams. So these are certifications of French proficiency, which you need if you want to migrate to France or any French-speaking country, to be able to get a job there, to study there. There are universities who ask. And we have real job opportunities. We are the only ones here as well in the country to organize the departure of 15 persons per year to work in France. So it's a program called the Teaching Assistant Program. It's actually about teaching English in France to young people. So you'll be placed in a school, whether primary, college, etc., and you'll be teaching English. So what better way to discover the country than being immersed, living there, living the French life, whether in Paris or elsewhere, and teaching English, so definitely your strong point, and of course learning French at the same time. So come to us so you can kickstart or restart your French journey.
Wow. No, I had no interest in learning French before that pitch. Now I'm just like, I've always been into Spanish, but why not learn French as well?
So come see us, definitely.
Okay, as we begin to sort of wrap up the conversation, how many students can you guys handle in a particular year?
All right, so annually we do have 400 students approximately, so that's for the year. We have persons who will come in for one term, who will stay with us for the entire year. And we have so many success stories of students who started in primary school, because right now French is not mandatory at primary school here. It is in other countries. They've started in primary school because their parents were interested, because there was some interest for the language, and they have continued with us until Cape. So that means straight through primary, secondary school, both levels of exams. We prepare students for CSEC as well, of course. There's so many things to do at Alliance.
When it comes to, especially when you're teaching those students who are doing the CAPE and the CSEC, sometimes the way the teacher teaches in class isn't always, what you as a school would teach. So have you ever run into any issues where, a teacher is teaching it a particular way or maybe has a particular dialect that they prefer the student uses? Have you ever run into those types of challenges?
It has happened, yeah. It's mostly about the accents sometimes, where our teachers here are very qualified. The teachers at the Alliance are often secondary school teachers as well.
Okay.
So it's really great because they have that experience in the classroom, in our government schools and private schools, and they come to teach with us after school. So sometimes it's about a teaching method, but in the end, teaching is about giving of yourself, sharing your knowledge with students, and there's no wrong way to do it. It's about the pedagogical or the teaching methodologies rather. So it's different journeys to get to the same objective. So our way is very direct, but we love to branch off into culture. And often in school, because of time, because of the numbers of persons and number of students in classes, and so many different material difficulties, teachers aren't able to go off into culture, but that's our specialty because we really want students to be excited about the language and to live it. So we do our best to really bring culture, which is literature, the arts, music, theatre, cinema. We have movie nights at the Alliance to get our students together. We have apéro limes, so that's the French version of a lime. We have concerts.
So then what's more?
Apéro.
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 Yeah.
So it's A-P-E-R-O.
A-P-E-R-O.
So there's an accent on the E, so you go apéro.
Apéro, okay.
Apéro limes. So we call it our apéro limes. So all of these events that I'm discussing are on our social media, or persons can just give us a call and become a member of the Alliance. That way you'll get the information directly. Every month, every week, there is something happening at Alliance Française, and there are events that are free to the public, and then there are events only for members.
Okay, all right. So I am a student. I've spoken with you guys. I've signed up and registered. What's a typical week or so going to look like for me?
Okay, so we have classes. You want to get on the class schedule?
Yeah, we have classes from Form 1 to Form 5, from A1 to B levels to C levels. So, for example, if you are beginners, you can do our A1.1 beginners that take place Tuesday and Thursday, 1 hour and a half, from 5:15 to 6:45. Or there is the option to come at the Alliance on Saturday and do it from 9:30 to 12. So yeah, we are really flexible, and our classes in general, it's 2 classes per week of 1 hour and a half.
So how many students or teachers to students?
All right, so what we like are really small classes to be able to give that individual attention. You're coming to Alliance for the quality of service and the quality of teaching. So we have less than 10 students per class. It's really individualized, and we're able to tailor to everyone's needs.
That's good.
We really try to have small but interactive groups to make people actors of the learning. That's really our goal. Yeah.
That's what I was worried about, and you guys completely quashed all of my worries. So again, when it comes to registering and finding out about you guys, what are the contact information? What's the contact information?
So our phone number is 461-1742. We are online at ICNTT. You can find us on Facebook, Instagram. Just Google Alliance Française, Trinidad and Tobago, or Alliance, Trinidad and Tobago, and you'll find us.
Yeah. Again, so the number is 461-1742. 461-1742. If you didn't write that down, you're driving, I don't know, whatever you're doing, cleaning, and you did not get that at all, you can always go to Alliance CNT, so Alliance, or reach back out to the station and we would have the contact information for you. So again, the open day is coming up this Saturday?
This Saturday, 20th of September, from 12 p.m. to 4 p.m. Alliance Française is based in St. Clair, so we are on 17 Alcazar Street. So welcome to our home. Come see us, talk to us, chat with Silva in French or in English, chat with our teachers, meet other students, meet persons, as Sylvain said, who have been to France, traveled, worked there, lived there, to exchange about their experience.
So I know when we hear free, we hear I go in. Yeah? So I encourage you to, that's something I might actually even pop into to go see as well. This is actually very interesting to me. I didn't know that this is even happening here in Trinidad. So I'm really glad that you guys are doing this work, and thankful to, I think what you said was the Ministry of
Culture, Ministry of Education, Ministry of Culture, yes, the French ministries. And also, of course, here in Trinidad and Tobago, the Ministry of Education.
All right. Wonderful. Thank you so much for coming on. You have something like that?
I would just want to say something. So we are located in Port of Spain, but we do offer the online option, which means that don't matter if you are in Tobago, the South or East, the Alliance is here for you. Yeah, that's pretty much it.
I love that. So you could just call and ask about doing the online. Is it the same? Is you going to be in the same classes with just like on a screen, or will it be a separate?
No, we have separate classes. So you have in-person classes, online classes.
I love that. How many teachers do you guys have in your employ right now, would you say?
We have 15 teachers.
Wow. So well done for the work you guys are doing. Again, the open day is this Saturday from 12 to 4. Exactly. You said number 17 Alcazar Street. That's right there, man. That's right there, man. And if you can't make this open day, you guys will be posting on the social media the entire time.
Yes.
So you can see whatever it is that they're posting, so you can find out whatever you would have missed. But I encourage you not to miss it if you are able. Again, thank you so much for coming on and sharing about Alliance Française.
C'est parfait. Merci beaucoup. Thank you for having us. Do you want to try? Merci beaucoup.
Yes, for sure. Teach me one quick French phrase, something that I might have to use every day if I ever go to France.
All right, so let's see, that you'll have to use every time you go to France. So bonjour, ça va, definitely.
Really, so bonjour.
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 Bonjour. All right, ça va.
Ça va.
Ça va. And in patois, that would be ça qu'a fait.
Ça qu'a fait.
All right, so you're already speaking French and patois in 5 seconds.
Look at that. Look at that. Thank you so much.
Merci beaucoup.
Merci beaucoup.
And for merci beaucoup. And for those of you out there who you did your French in secondary school and you think you know everything, come and test it out. Come Saturday and test it out, And maybe we can even meet up and have a little French one-off and a little tiff, whatever, to see who's better. It's probably going to be you. But that aside, thanks again, guys, and have a beautiful day.
Same to you. Thank you so much.
All right, so as you guys know, today is Wild Wednesday, so we have Mr. Mead coming on with, I don't know what he's coming on with today, but he's coming to freak me out, I am certain of it. So stay tuned, we'll be right back with you again, Wild Wednesday coming up.
Bill and Ruth fell in love with the Benjamin Moore color Dry Sage, but they tried to match it using another brand's paint.
I mean, it's close enough.
Almost identical, really. Yeah, there it is.
Never trust another paint to be a Benjamin Moore color.
Do you need treatment for obesity or any related abdominal procedures? The community hospital now offers minimally invasive laparoscopic surgery done by an American-trained, board-certified surgeon with over 20 years' experience. Give us a call at 235-5479 for more information.
The Community Hospital of Seventh-day Adventist,
where good private health care is affordable.
Low energy? Heart concerns? Migraines slowing you down? It's time to take control of your health. Join Wellness Unlocked, the series that brings expert advice and real solutions for a healthier you. In our latest episode, learn how Jameson CoQ10 can help support heart health, boost energy, and even reduce migraines. Get the science, the stories, and the steps to power up your health with CoQ10. Don't miss Wellness Unlocked. Watch now on WESN and start your wellness journey today.
FanZone, your reliable, authentic supplier, has just gotten better. You can now visit our website www.fanzonett.com for your authentic wear and collectibles. The only place where you can use both your Visa debit and credit cards. Visit our website fanzonett.com to make your purchase today. SM Group International Limited, your solutions partner for the latest innovations, brands and competent staff to meet your needs. We provide products and services in the following divisions: executive services, event rental and services, power and heavy equipment, construction and property management, food and beverage, aggregate and sales and distribution. Check out more on our products and services at www.smgrouptt.com. Contact us at 221-7445 or email at info@smgrouptt.com. We are SM Group International, your solutions partner.
Money is something we all deal with, but how many of us truly understand it? What if you could make better decisions with your money? Decisions that secure your future, protect your family, and bring you peace of mind. I'm Darren Jacobs, and I'm here to help you make sense of your dollars. Welcome to Dollars and Cents, the show that breaks down the financial world in ways that matter to you. No jargon, no confusion, just real conversations about money, your money. So join me every Wednesday at 10 a.m. on WESN for Dollars and Cents.
You are watching Strictly Legal on WESN Content Capital. Just give an overview of what exactly is that split arrangement.
In the studio now, you don't need to register nothing. You don't need, we can do that another time. But then it becomes a hit, and then everybody starts to want to claim.
The laws that predate many of the independent countries' constitutions are going to be those colonial laws.
We know there are an infinite amount of circumstances that would lead to a murder.
I have a great idea and I have a great concept, but until it's actually expressed, it does not become intellectual property.
Accomplishments or targets of a forensic accountant is to quantify what may have been lost.
We believe in different criminals and we manipulated the law and we exploited the system.
A responsible journalist will reach out to the person who they have the information on for a comment.
Every word, every line, every paragraph depicts a real moment in someone's life. A father, a sister, a mother, a brother. We at Newsday are dedicated to you, the people, and through independent, unwavering journalism, strive to always bring your stories to life. Because your stories are more than just words. Newsday, independent and credible.
This is Face of Sports, WESN Content Capital. How you felt about the kiss on the lip?
That's the business. I'm nothing to do with that.
I find that was a distasteful.
The national senior team, whether you like it or not, that is the model for all other teams to follow.
I'm assuming that the regional requirement may be a much stricter requirement.
This is not about Pro League and Super League. This is a league run by the Normalization Committee that I'm responsible for.
Nobody expected FIFA to fund this arrangement.
If we don't get a professional attitude towards this, we are doomed for failure.
You break a balance, trip the leg, control the body.
They ain't gonna stand put forever.
Why you want the Chiefs to lose so? Why you want the Chiefs to lose so?
They already have two. Lamar don't
Why?
have.
You're jealous because you know the Chiefs getting closer to the Patriots. Let's go to the last part.
No,
of the
not no.
Let's go to the last part.
Do you need treatment for obesity or any related abdominal procedures? The community hospital now offers minimally invasive laparoscopic surgery done by an American-trained, board-certified surgeon with over 20 years experience. Give us a call at 235-5479 for more information.
The Community Hospital of Seventh-day Adventist,
where good private health care is affordable.
All right, good morning and welcome back. So I know before we ended the last segment, I would have said that Wild Wednesday is coming up, and we do have that in store for you. We have some surprises along the way with that. But before we do that, we are shining a spotlight on student leadership and governance across the University of the West Indies. So joining us this morning are the voices of thousands of students across the region, but specifically represented by their guild presidents. So ones who shape the students' experience and who are just the main voices for the students on their respective campuses. So with us this morning, we have 4 persons, 2 in studio right now and 2 more to come. We have Mr. Vedanan Hagobin, the guild president of the UWI St. Augustine campus. Then we have Mr. Karen McKenzie, guild president of the UWI Five Islands campus in Antigua and Barbuda. So we have regional representation today. So good morning and welcome, you guys.
Good morning.
How are you doing? Of course, how are you doing?
We're fine. It was a nice drive this morning. You know.
I was just going to ask that. Was it traffic? Because I know school started back.
I mean, it was a little more than I expected. You know, normally traffic on a morning to Port Smith isn't as bad, but as over the past 2 months, so this morning was a little bit longer, but that's fine.
Karen, were you driven?
I was driven actually.
Beautiful. Passenger prince right here.
Yes. The traffic was, I mean, it's next to the same thing as we have in Antigua and Barbuda, given the fact that the amount of vehicles and you know, our capacity within our country is a bit tinier than Trinidad, for sure.
What's the population of Antigua and Barbuda?
Off the record, without statistics, I would assume it's about 67,000. Could be less.
Less than Cayman.
Yes.
Could be less.
Yeah. Okay, so let's jump straight into it. So for viewers who may not know, and this is something I'm going to post to Vedanan, viewers who may not know, what exactly is the UWI Guild of Students and why does it exist?
Well, as you know, there are 5 campuses of the UWI, and each campus has its elected student body who are the highest form of student governance that represents the voice of the students. So I can speak for St. Augustine. We have 27 different council members who represent a different cohort of students. So we have faculty reps, hall chairs, we have the different committees like games, national affairs, international affairs, and the list goes on. Each campus has something a little more specific that is tailored to their needs, but the guild as in its whole is the voice of the students, you know, the will of the students, if you put it that way,
It's always been very interesting to me that UWI has such a vast representation. I mean, having not just so many students on campuses all over the region, but having an entire fleshed out student guild, I think is really important. So a lot of colleges can mimic that. What you guys do, because how has representation been thus far historically? And this is something, actually no, Ved can answer because I know this campus is relatively new.
Yes.
Yeah, so historically, can you speak to that?
Well, I mean, historically, if you look at our past, it started with a revolution. I believe it was Makandal Daga who started the Guild of Students at St. Augustine, and it was part of a movement for change. You know, they had a march from, I believe it was St. Augustine, the border spin, St. Augustine, I can't remember where to where, but it was a huge march. And throughout the years, the guild has grown to a voice of 13,000 students, maybe up to 20,000 students at different points. And it really is, in my humble opinion, the largest representation of young people and their voices in Trinidad and Tobago. And well, collectively the region.
So to Karen, as one of the newer campuses, how is this campus establishing itself and kind of building that, building tradition and visibility?
Honestly, our UE5 Islands, we would have started in 2019, you know, the whole aspect of it. And, you know, just to jump back to the previous question, I must add that, you know, we have a bit of history. Given the,
of course.
Given the part of it, you know, starting in 2019, you know, it was actually one of my colleagues, which is Caleb Gardner, who would have started, you know, the Constitution and, you know, tried to develop different ways in how we can go about, you know, the Guild of Students. But just jumping back to your, you know, your last question, in terms of development and how we can establish, it's really a collaboration with us and admin, because as you would have noticed, we were fairly new, and I must keep saying that. But I mean, we still can't use the word new because we're trying to develop at over a certain time. So what we're trying to do as well is trying to develop a sort of, you know, leadership aspect of it, and try to develop more of, you know, just looking at previous, you know, persons in different positions, looking at different campuses as well. You know, just looking at me being here for a week, you know, just seeing the St. Augustine campus and my fellow president, it's really something that inspires me to do more when I go back. So it's something very special.
So what would you say are some of the challenges that you would have encountered, now, because as we're not saying new, but encountered as a guild that's building itself? It doesn't have a history of the St. Augustine campus.
One of the problems we have is facilities. When I mean facilities, we're talking about classroom spaces, because we have basically 3 blocks of classroom that we utilize. We have the A block, which is mainly for business students. We have the B block, which is mainly for SOSCI, and that's, you know, artificial intelligence, and C block, which is basically nursing and pharmacy. So, and the School of Business has majority of the percentage of students. So having, let's say for instance, we have a class on Monday at 9, about nearly all the classes are occupied. Some classes has to be, you know, turned over to virtual, and that as well would cause challenges. Another challenge would be, what I'm trying to advocate for, is getting clubs so they can, you know, be more recognized on campus, and getting the, you know, just more of them to be recognized, and, you know, being able to bring out the different plans, the different ideas, and how they can, you know, bring forth engagement on campus. So that's just 2 minor that I think I can tackle. I mean, the facilities are major.
You will do it.
Because at a point, we're in the stage of breaking ground, which is expanding. So that's one of the commendations I must bring to the campus, that they would have brought forward, and the government of Antigua and Barbuda, who would have, you know, went out and did their research and get these, you know,
get these projects off of the ground. So Vedant, again, the UE campus has been around for such a long time. What are some pressing student concerns at the campus right now?
I can say definitely the biggest one, it's food options on campus. So we had, I don't want to say issue, but we have a issue where a lot of the food vendors are not remaining on campus, and we're not getting new ones immediately. So we have a couple, more than a couple empty spaces, and students have begun to complain, you know, that we need more healthy, affordable options on campus. So that's a big part of my mission to get that done. I mean, additionally, we have regular maintenance issues, but I think for the most part so far, they've been addressed pretty well by campus admin. You know, we would send our relevant emails, go into relevant meetings, and bring the evidence forward. You know, this needs to be done better. And so far, for the almost 3 months I've been president, it's been addressed. I mean, we have the usual complaints like the shuttle system, maybe something with course outline, lecturers, those kind of things. I want to say the usual, but so far the response has been good from campus admin in addressing them. And I hope it remains this way for the next year, you know.
While you're president.
Yes, while I'm president, yes.
So when it comes to how students can reach out to you to voice their concerns, what is that like, and how do you take it to the admin? What's that process?
So to reach out, there are so many different reps. So you can engage a faculty rep, because there are 8 faculties and 8 reps. Then there are 4 halls and 4 reps. And then, well, then there's our email for the executive, for myself, the vice president, treasurer, secretary, postgraduate representative. So email is usually the route to go, but most times it's you walk around campus and someone stops, hey, I have this issue here. Okay, well, I know exactly who to give this to, and at that point, I give up my number, message me, and we'll figure out a way through this, and that's usually how it goes. It's been extremely busy so far, but as soon as I get a breath, we're going to have office hours at some point, so students can come in and we can have a discussion in a formal or semi-formal setting to see how we could chart a way forward to address these issues. Now, with addressing these issues, I want to say our deputy principal has been extremely welcoming. He's just a phone call away for any issue, and I mean most of the campus for that, they have been very helpful in terms of the minute you send an email, you get a response almost immediately, and the concerns are addressed in a very timely manner.
So a question to the both of you as we wrap up this part of the conversation. What would you say is the most rewarding part of being the Student Guild president where you're at?
For me, honestly, I would say the most rewarding part is being able to address student issues and also, finding a way so that they can feel comfortable and have enough voice for them. So that's something in leadership that I would have taken on and, further develop my skills in terms of advocating for students, seeing how best they can, get certain issues resolved, and just try my best to always be there for them. Having, just, my office is just open. Hey, how are you doing? Just have a conversation. So that's one of the things that I would say is the best rewarding part of it. And, just going forward, I do wish my fellow colleagues, happy tenure, and myself as well. And I do have a strong council, so that in itself shows that, our tenure will be something great.
That's beautiful.
Well, to me, the best part about this is being something that's bigger than you. You know the saying, it's very easy to be a big fish in a small pond, but to be in a small fish in a big pond is a lot more scary, but it opens a lot more. So St. Augustine has 13,000 students. To be able to represent those diverse and different backgrounds and their needs, it's something very rewarding. I can't describe in words. It's not like it's not a paying position, as all the presidents would say. It's a lot of work, a lot of sleepless nights, a lot of drama to handle at times. But it's not something for everyone. The reward is seeing someone who is your peer happy that you're able to do something that can benefit them. And it just is about service. It's just really about service.
As you said, it started with a revolution, if you will, so it's quite a revolutionary thing, especially being in that presidential or that leadership position, which isn't always, you're not always given the thanks that you would deserve. But I'm glad that you guys are taking up the mantle every single day to do work like this. Best of luck to you guys on the rest of your tenure. And I don't know if you guys will be running again, but again, good luck to you.
Yeah, same here.
That's it there. That's it there. This is hard.
So, okay, so can you say that to the camera right there? And when the next elections come about, this one right here?
It will not be me.
We're going to hold him accountable to that, guys. All right. So thanks so much for coming on, and we're going to have the next two campus representatives to speak on these same things, these same issues, and more. So again, thanks, and
Thank you so much for having us.
Of course.
Most definitely.
Pleasure, and have a beautiful day.
Thank you as well. Take care.
We're just going to take a short break. We'll be right back with you.
FanZone, your reliable, authentic supplier, has just gotten better. You can now visit our website www.fanzonett.com for your authentic wear and collectibles. The only place where you can use both your Visa debit and credit cards. Visit our website fanzonett.com to make your purchase today.
low energy? Heart concerns? Migraines slowing you down? It's time to take control of your health. Join Wellness Unlocked, the series that brings expert advice and real solutions for a healthier you. In our latest episode, learn how Jameson CoQ10 can help support heart health, boost energy, and even reduce migraines. Get the science, the stories, and the steps to power up your health with CoQ10. Don't miss Wellness Unlocked. Watch now on WESN and start your wellness journey today.
I am Dr. Delphina Ovid, your friendly neighborhood dentist. At Community Hospital Dental Clinic, we offer examinations which include x-rays, basic oral cancer screening, and a treatment plan. We also offer cleanings, fillings, extractions, root canal treatment, and complete and partial dentures. Remember, you don't have to brush and floss all your teeth, just the ones you want to keep.
Give us a call at 235-5479.
The Community Hospital of Seventh-day Adventist,
where good private health care is affordable.
Remember waking up early just to catch your favorite cartoons? WESN brings back those magical mornings with Retro Saturdays.
Thus, the Powerpuff Girls were born!
Where the young at heart relive the fun. Join us every Saturday from 8 a.m. to 12 noon, only on WESN, the content capital.
All right, so good morning and welcome back to AM Prime on WESN. We are continuing our conversation with the UE Student Guild presidents. So what is happening is that I believe the entire council has come to Trinidad, so the different regional bodies have come to Trinidad for a couple of days, I believe about a week or so. So right now we have so many regional partnerships or regional representatives in Trinidad and Tobago from the UE campuses all across the region. So good morning and welcome to some representatives. And forgive me, I hope I can say the names absolutely correctly. Mr. Alan Plant. Plant, yes. Acting Guild President of the UE Cave Hill campus in Barbados, as well as Ms. Zilpa Joyette. Yes. Yes, Guild President of the UE Global Campus. So, good morning and welcome, you guys.
Good morning.
Good morning. Thank you for having us.
How are you doing?
We're okay.
Okay. For now, it's very early in the morning.
I've been to Trinidad before.
Yeah.
However, it's the first time I've officially been like out and about, and so I am absorbing the culture.
It's the same. Well, yeah, this is my third time in Trinidad and Tobago, and I really like it here. I feel healed all the time every time I come here.
I love that.
The vibes is, phenomenal.
Did double till you?
Not yet. I plan to go to get some on the avenue maybe later. I didn't have I've not had the time to. I had a roti last night though.
What type of roti? Yeah, did you have?
It was just the roti.
Like the beef, chicken,
chicken,
goat.
Chicken.
You need to try a goat. You need to try a goat roti.
Before we go, we have enough time.
I hope so.
Yeah.
I want to try a doubles, a triples, a goat roti, and a bacon jack.
All right, no problem.
Yeah.
That's all normal.
And I want picture proof. And the boating. So tell me how good the cuisine tastes. So my first question is going to be to you, Alan. What have been some of the challenges stepping into the role as acting guild president? Because you're here in a role where everybody else has been
fully,
yes, fully. So what's that like?
It's been extremely turbulent, I can tell you that.
Yeah.
I mean, you say of challenges, sometimes I don't really look at it as challenges. Most times I think that it's very gratifying. It's very gratifying in the sense when a student tells you thank you. I think when a student tells you thank you, I mean, it doesn't even, the thank you could just be in verbatim, and you just know that you'd have maybe changed somebody's life. But the challenge is that you have to balance two roles, because I still balance being the vice president and being an acting president. And when you are acting, I think it puts you in another predicament where you have to offer a proper transition period, because you're going to bring in a new president shortly. So I think these are some of the challenges, well, two of the main challenges that
Yeah. So is it that you have to like bounce ideas off of yourself? You know, because there's no
yeah, because there's nobody really to deputize in that regard since I'm acting. So I mean, I consult my council. I know Sylpha and I were having a conversation last night about something, and I said, let me speak to the council, because I don't have a VP, so I'd run to the council as quickly as possible to get that in regard. So I don't take it to myself. I think it's a council effort all the time. I always believe it's a team, and I always believe that my team should have an opinion as well. I'm confident in them. They're excellent young people. So usually, sometimes is a bounce off sometimes.
So how long do you think you'd be in this position for?
Until October 9th.
Until October 9th. And are you contesting the presidential seat at all? No? You don't want that?
They chastise me for it, but no.
Oh, that's no problem. I won't chastise you. But thank you for taking up the mantle. To Zilpa, so you are at Global Campus. So what does leadership even look like in an online setting?
Ooh. All right, so again, like Global Campus dynamics are way different than the other landed campuses, because Global Campus is spread far and wide. We have 17, we're in 17 territories, and we have 42 sites in total. So we do not have that landed space. So leadership is not what it traditionally looks like on the campus. For me, my advocacy definitely comes channeled through a lot of surveys. What do people want? What are they feeling? What are they? So for me, leadership is more on the lines of advocacy, heavy on the advocacy, and not so much, I don't have the privilege of having the social aspect to it. And so that's what Global Campus.
So when you get together in a forum like this with the other presidents, do they tease you about it? Yes. They often remind that we don't have any classrooms, we don't have no halls, we don't have any. And what's your rebuttal? Is it that you don't have that to worry about?
I don't have that. So it's fine. I am okay with it. I'm comfortable with the dynamic that we have.
So what does advocacy look like for you? Because you're taking a positive spin on this. A lot of people would think of this as a huge challenge, being fully online. But since you're taking the positive spin, what does advocacy look like for you?
Okay, now, first thing it's not even a majority of complaints. You have to take advocacy, even if one student is being affected by something, you have to take it into consideration. So the moment I get that first email, I can't get a walk-in at an office or anything, but the moment I get that first email, that's when the advocacy begins for me, because then it means that I need to communicate this, even if it's a single challenge, to the upper heads. Okay, something needs to be put in place, because more than likely, this might just be the sole person that would complain about the issue, but others may be experiencing it or feeling it. So it's just being able to channel whatever the needs of the students are in the right direction, knowing that whatever might be sent up to the upper heads needs to be able to go for everybody. Everybody across the board in all the different sites.
That sounds like in itself a huge challenge, but you've been doing it well thus far.
I'd like to hope so. I haven't gotten any
Complaints as well, yes. What's the support like for you?
Oh, for the support, it's tremendous. I think because I try my best, I'm not far removed from my students. So emails or they come in, I respond automatically. I try to definitely maintain a good working relationship that's status quo with both students and administration, because that's what you really should aim to do, to see where we can meet on some kind of common ground. So when it comes to student support, I am very, very happy. I'm elated that I get that from my students. I also have a very strong council, which I think gives me the upper hand as well, because we're not localized as well. So I am from the lovely island of St. Vincent and the Grenadines. I
just want to plug that. My entire family is from St. Vincent and the Grenadines. So, yeah, girl.
Really? Oh. And I have the privilege, I have two VPs. My VPs, one is Antiguan, one is Jamaican. Trickling down, my CLO is Grenadian. My game's biggest committee chairperson is Jamaican as well, but I also have Antiguan. It's spread across, which also lets me have like a little hand in every country.
Exactly,
So here I'm hearing the complaints I'm hearing the queries, I'm hearing from the different islands. So then that also puts me in a better position where I can pull this information and know, okay, this is something that needs to be addressed.
And that's what the guild presidents don't know, the other guild presidents don't know. So every time they want to tease you, it's like, no, actually, I know your business, so I have the upper hand. All right, so to Alan's, KVL has always emphasized regionalism. So how are you connecting your campus with the wider UWI family this particular academic year?
Yeah, that's a very good question. I mean, I don't think we've made any efforts in doing it across the region as yet, but we've definitely embarked on it within the campus. We had Freshers Week about 2 weeks ago, and then we had the Culture Night. The Culture Night would have exposed the different cultures from all the different islands, contributing countries to the region, to the UWI, and it was an excellent production. It was titled Rally Around the West Indies, and we went around the West Indies in showing that melting pot of culture that the UWI KVL possesses. I think that may be a question that I'd have to bring back to the council and seeing how we can really bridge the gap in terms of regionalism. But I think the first step of regionalism comes here with the ICGC, the Intercampus Guild Council. This is where all the guilds from the different councils meet together, and we share proposals in strengthening the institution of the guild itself, which I think is a very important institution of the university. And any university, whether it's a students' guild or students' union or anything else, it's a very important part. So this is the first step of regionalism for us. As it pertains to KVL reaching out in terms of regionalism, I have not seen it yet, to be quite frank. I think that's something we'll definitely work on in the coming months, which gave us a good suggestion. But this is the first step of regionalism that KVL is contributing itself to, in ensuring that we do participate in the ICGC, because it forms a pivotal part of our governance and our governance structure as the Guild of Students.
Beautiful, best of luck.
Thank you.
So as we need to sort of wrap this particular interview up, can you tell me, if you had to say in one word, what do you want to be remembered for? What is your legacy as a guild president? What would you say the word is? I'll start with.
Yeah, start with Let me see if I can find my word.
Okay, what I would really, really want to be remembered for is being that caring president, being the president that understands, because I'm not just joining UWI. I'm actually in my 5th year. I'm in my last year of my master's. So I would have gone through the motions with UWI. I know what the issues are. And if I can empathize or bring back that care factor, even within the professionalism, I think I would be happy to know that, you know what, they remembered me for that she was caring, she cared about us. So our issues were taken further with actual interest. So for me, I think I would want to be remembered for
being
caring and being able to have that action that has a purpose behind it.
Purposeful, okay. Yeah.
I think my one word would have to be humble. I always believe, I think there's a Bible verse that mentioned that he who exalts himself will be humbled, and he who humbles himself shall be exalted. I think that as a leader, sometimes you must always have to, sometimes you may even be in the right, but you have to listen to your constituents, listen to what they would have to say, and sometimes the criticisms, etc., that they would give you would just form not part of your professional development, but your personal development. And I want that humility that I would show or give out to the students, that they would have it as well and show it to each other. I think that when we are humble, we are peaceful, we think rationally, we listen carefully, and I think these are some good characteristics of a leader. And then taking action that is pragmatic and overall, like Zilpha would have said earlier, in ensuring that it's equitable, that it's for everybody, that the decisions that you make will all be at least in everyone's best favor. Yeah. So I think that's the one word that I'd want to remember by, just humility or humble as a leader.
Beautiful. Thank you so much, Zilpha. Thank you so much, Alan. Pleasure having you on, and I hope that you have a beautiful day.
Pleasure to be here. Thank you.
So, of course, we're going to take a short break, and when we come back, we have a couple of minutes left for Wild Wednesday, so stay tuned with us. We'll be right back.
Take some time for yourself or spend some time with the family at Sandy Point Village Hotel. Enjoy our various studio and suite apartments, self-contained with their own kitchenettes and Wi-Fi. We also have our famous 100-foot swimming pool and our beachfront restaurant, the Steak and Lobster Grill. And our location in Crown Point puts us near the center of activity, from the nylon pool to the local nightlife. Call us and make your reservations at 639-8533, 389-2378, or email us at sandypointvillagehotel@gmail.com.
Maybe he landed here totally by coincidence. But if by chance he's admiring your fresh coat of Benjamin Moore soft sky blue, well, that's a pretty high compliment. Coming from an expert.
Remember waking up early just to catch your favorite cartoons? WESN brings back those magical mornings with Retro Saturdays.
Thus, the Powerpuff Girls were born!
Where the young at heart relive the fun. Join us every Saturday from 8 a.m. to 12 noon, only on WESN, the content capital.
FanZone, your reliable, authentic supplier, has just gotten better. You can now visit our website www.fanzonett.com for your authentic wear and collectibles. The only place where you can use both your Visa debit and credit cards. Visit our website fanzonett.com to make your purchase today.
Do you need treatment for obesity or any related abdominal procedures? The community hospital now offers minimally invasive laparoscopic surgery done by an American-trained, board-certified surgeon with over 20 years' experience. Give us a call at 235-5479 for more information.
The Community Hospital of Seventh-day Adventist,
where good private health care is affordable.
Low energy? Heart concerns? Migraines slowing you down? It's time to take control of your health. Join Wellness Unlocked, the series that brings expert advice and real solutions for a healthier you. In our latest episode, learn how Jameson CoQ10 can help support heart health, boost energy, and even reduce migraines. Get the science, the stories, and the steps to power up your health with CoQ10. Don't miss Wellness Unlocked. Watch now on WESN and start your wellness journey today.
SM Group International Limited, your solutions partner for the latest innovations, brands, and competent staff to meet your needs. We provide products and services in the following divisions: executive services, event rental and services, power and heavy equipment, construction and property management, food and beverage, aggregate and sales and distribution. Check out more on our products and services at www.smgrouptt.com. Contact us at 221-7445 or email at info@smgrouptt.com. We are SM Group International, your solutions partner.
Money is something we all deal with, but how many of us truly understand it? What if you could make better decisions with your money? Decisions that secure your future, protect your family, and bring you peace of mind. I'm Darren Jacobs, and I'm here to help you make sense of your dollars. Welcome to Dollars and Cents, the show that breaks down the financial world in ways that matter to you. No jargon, no confusion, just real conversations about money, your money. So join me every Wednesday at 10 a.m. on WESN for Dollars and Cents.
Good morning and welcome back. We have Wild Wednesday coming up, and I want to cue the bumper. We're getting that today. Yes, Wild Wednesday. Today, as per usual, we have Mr. Ricardo Mead from the El Socorro Center for Wildlife Conservation. Here today. How are you doing today, Mr. Mead?
I am doing fantastic. Thank you for having me. It feels like if I haven't been here in a long while. This Zoom thing, it's nice, it's convenient, it's saved or behinds a couple times, but it's always best in studio to be here with you. And wait, somebody missing. Did she take a day off?
We'll see her next week.
We'll see her next week, right? So I'll make sure I'm here in studio once again. But it's Wild Wednesday, and we are really wild. It's approaching a dangerous time of the year, if you're wildlife, that is. At the 1st of October, which is in just about 2 weeks' time, the hunting season opens. And the killing fields would have sprung forth, as they say. Because, well, you are supposed to have permits to go into our forests and state lands and hunt our game species, but people in Trinidad are a bit on the lawless side. So they would do things that infringe and break the law. And, but one popular animal is the lap. They say like lap and tattoo, you hear it in all these songs, Hunter and Scrunter, and all these people singing about these animals that have been used traditionally as food. Now they've gone from food, they're not really food anymore, they're now a delicacy. All right, chicken is food, that's our staple, that's basically one of our main sources of protein. But these animals, you're not gonna eat, you know, a quarter pound of it every day and so on and so forth. But when you go to certain events, and at the time of the year that's coming up, would be the festive holiday season, when Chinese believe that eating more is the way to go, and eating more things. So we expand our palate and eat all sorts of exotic foods that were one time for people native to Trinidad, the first people, that was their food. But now, because we have other sources of protein, it's no longer food, it's now a delicacy and exotic. And now with that carries a hefty price tag. So this has now motivated a lot of people who probably would have turned their back on it to try to acquire it, either for themselves, personal consumption with their family and friends, or big problem now for commercial sales. Because when you have a wild meat party, you know, and you have 1,000 people, can you imagine how many pounds of meat you would need to supply. You know, you have a nice exclusive all-inclusive and wild meat is a part of it. You need to supply pounds and pounds or kilos and kilos of this meat. That means they're out there killing and killing and killing to supply it. And in many cases, they're also now bringing in illegally from Venezuela. You know, so one guy said, you know, he said in a comment, how do you know that wasn't some lap and tattoo and there that they blow up that was coming into Trinidad because the season is coming up. So we have here with us today a lap. People know it, but very few people really know what the animal really looks like.
Is he in the white shot?
Here we go. Let's bring him in there. There he is there. So, like many of the others, it is a rodent. Is a rat. Okay, is a rat. Rodentia is a rat. By the teeth, the way they are. Meanwhile, and I stress again, Manikou is not a rodent. It's a marsupial. So this is a rodent. Capybara, being the largest rodent in the world. He's going to get pretty big. He's young. They call him Rocky. But nowhere near capybara size. Capybara is, you know, 100, 125 pound easy, big guys.
Yeah.
You know, like the one that they saw in the airport recently. I think they say he was going back to Venezuela, but the flight was cancelled. So he had some problems there. But yeah, the lap or lowland packer is, I wouldn't say it's a common animal, but it's a common hunted animal. You're not gonna, like just 2 days ago, I was up in Goodwood Park and stopped at the street and there's a Gucci crossing. Basically, we stopped for the Gucci to cross. So you would see those animals. This you will not see like that because it's really nocturnal. So a Gucci is actually quite opposite. A Gucci is diurnal. So you have your diurnal or daylight food gatherer, and now you have your nocturnal food gatherer. So you have both sides of the moon covered, as it were. And because we are not nocturnal, although we try to be with headlights and flashlights, all that sort of thing, we hardly see them. So where you and how you would see them would be the hunters would be going specifically to look for them. They have dogs that like to chase them and pen them or get them in holes, and then they dig them out and they lance them and kill them in the hole and pull them out. You have flashlights. They do something called centering, where they put the food down so the animal comes and then they shoot the animal in those areas. It seems a bit barbaric, but it's like, come and eat and then I kill you. But that is how it actually works. Now, people seem to believe, and you said that, you know, Ricardo is soft and this and that. I just want to state for a fact there that I have to, as part of my job, my profile, my work, put many animals to sleep, sometimes on a daily basis. There is no softness there. You determine if the animal has to be put down for easing of suffering or for some other reason, probably disease and stuff like that there. And I do it many times over. There is no softness there. Many times I do it with my bare hands, because if a quick death is what is needed, you can't wait to get back to the clinic or the office to do certain things. So you figure out cerebral dislocation and the fastest way to get it done. So there is no softness there. So my opposition to hunting as it exists in Trinidad and Tobago right now ain't no based on no softness, ain't no Bambi hugger, you love Bambi so much, no, it's not that. I would quickly pick up a rifle and hunt in the US where there is an overpopulation of deer. I will not pick up a rifle and hunt deer in Trinidad where we're a tiny island, and because of the price put on its head, the numbers are becoming rare. I know the gestation period. I know how long it takes to produce one. I know the dangers it faces. I know that many guys are out there 24/7 just about poaching. And I say often, we hardly have hunting in Trinidad. You're like, no, there are lots of hunters. I say, no, there are a lot of poachers. From the time you infringe or impinge upon the law as stated in the Conservation of Wildlife Act, you become a poacher. So, for example, many people get out there at night to hunt. That is illegal. Sometimes you set foot in that forest after 6, between 6 in the night and 6 in the morning, just about, you are hunting, and no, you are poaching, because it's illegal. It's stated that. From the time you put on a headlight, Back in the days, they used to use inflammable material and so on like that, and now it's easy. LED lights that can last 10, 12 hours.
Yeah.
Time you're using artificial light in your pursuit of animals in the forest, you are breaking the law. So you're not a hunter, you're a poacher. Okay? And from the time you enter and take an animal without a permit for said animal, you are no longer hunting, you are poaching. So when you aggregate, when you put it all together, you see how much real poaching goes on. How many hunters do the 6-to-6 rule? How many of them use headlights? How many of them have permits for each of the species that they take? So you can have a lizard permit, which would allow you to hunt caiman and mat and iguana. Those are 3 lizards, right? So yeah, the world looks at us like, you all eat lizards? Yeah, we eat lizards here in this country. But we look at other cultures and, well, always eat that? Hold that mirror. Hold that mirror up, Trinidad and Tobago. What do you mean, guana, curry guana? From the time you say that, men dribbling like if, you know, you throw black pepper on their tongue, dribbling, you know. But that's what we do. And why do we do that? That's our culture, that's our tradition, that's what we got used to. That's what we know. That is what they say. That is what my grandmother gave me. That is what grandmother used to do. That's what we do Christmas.
Yeah.
And we do things without thinking. And that's a problem in our world today. Thinking is becoming a burden. And it seems now that we're using AI to do the thinking for us. But when you think about what you do and what you have done and what is your tradition, your way, why can't you extend that same courtesy, respect to other people and their tradition and their way of doing things also? Why do we always, you know the problem? Self-righteous. We are self-righteous. If it's my way, it's the right way. Anybody else is wrong. And that goes with creed, color, class, religion, you name it. Everybody else wrong, but we alone right. And that's the way it should be. So I mean, if you look at the debate, is it chicken curry or curry chicken? I'm not getting into that. I'm just happy that we won.
Let's get into this curry chicken.
It's curry chicken?
It's curry chicken.
Yeah, well, I curried the chicken, so it's curry chicken.
Yeah.
Okay, and well, that's what they want to do with this particular creature here, Rocky. So Rocky will hit you a good 20, 28 pounds. So you can get a nice, big, hefty guy. There is a lot of meat in them. But the problem is with their slow gestation period. If you're lucky, in 365, you may get 2 of them born. If you're very lucky, you may get 4. If the mother is quite prolific and the father is fertile, and you may get a double at one time. But usually you get 1 offspring, and gestation period is like 115, 120 days. So it's very difficult to see. And this is an issue with our neotropical animals that people just don't get. The neotropical animals have a longer, spaced out, slower gestation period. So that means they just reproduce slowly. So if you go into the bush and you kill 100 of them, there's no guarantee that that 100 will be born. And being born doesn't mean that you're going to survive to be a viable adult. So we have to be very careful. You don't need tremendous data coming back at you and do data analytics for the next 20 years to figure out, hey, less is less. And if we continue getting less, we need to stop at some point and determine, is the animal worth saving? Should we have it? Well, if you want to hunt it, you have to have it. So now maybe you should become more on the side of a conservationist. Because if they're all gone, what are you going to hunt?
And being a conservationist doesn't mean you can't hunt. It just means that there are laws to which you have to abide by.
You're smart in the management of your resources. As simple as that. You're smart in the management of your resources. That's what it comes down to. Because sometimes, like I said, I have to kill. You know? That's putting it bluntly. I could say I have to put it to sleep, I have to euthanize, whatever. It comes down to me literally having to end the life of an animal. But put it in perspective, it is for a reason, and a lot of times to prevent the animal from suffering or to prevent the other animals in the herd or the flock from being negatively affected by it. So I'm not afraid of killing anything. I know how to use a shotgun, I know how to use a rifle, I even know how to use a handgun. I have had my time in the US where the Second Amendment means you can, you know, pop off some rounds here and there and stuff like that, although we've done it in a responsible and sensible manner for capability. So that is not the issue. Oh, you don't know what it is, or use a gun and no. I know what it is to enter a region that is deplete of our wildlife, where you would normally hear birds singing and now you hear crickets, if you're lucky. And if you want this to perpetuate to the point where you could only show your children and grandchildren our wildlife in pictures, then continue. We already have a very long hunting period in it. It goes from the 1st of October till the last day in February. So if it's a leap year, you get 29. It's a long time to be there shooting. And now with no bag limits. No bag limits. Remember that. No bag limits. Every time talk of bag limits has come up there, people are like, no, you can't do that. Trinidad, you're too big. Trinidad too big? Are you jokey or something? Trinidad too big? Who are you trying to fool at Trinidad too big? Okay, let me just take Trinidad and throw it in Guyana and see if you can find it. There are islands in the Essequibo River that are bigger than Trinidad. River.
Yeah.
Island. Trinidad fitting in that island. That is big. So if they're hunting over there, and trust me, most of them don't want to eat wild meat. They would rather box a KFC or something else, because wild meat is like, it's like me. A lot of people are like, oh my God, Tobago crab and dumpling. And I watch them like, wow, you like crab and dumpling? I said, I grew up in Tobago. Crab and dumpling is what you eat when you was broke and poor. Because you go outside and catch the crab, and you just need some flour, and that's it. You know, I mean, if you're lucky, you would, you know, grate some corn in that there, the flour, you know, some of them got good, and they put the plantain in it to get that sweetness, and you know, some other provision. But that is basic food that you eat every day. You know, when we have chicken on a Sunday, if grandfather decided we're killing that rooster this Sunday, you know, yes, you're getting chicken, and that was yard fowl. So that fowl could have break your teeth. Right, but still, it was, you know, that was the rare. And well, pork, well, even less. Even though you're mining pig, you can't be killing it. So that's a special occasion, Easter, some, you know, and stuff like that. Turkey, well, that is in the movies and stuff like that. So what is delicacy and exotic for some people is really basic, like me, you know. And you know, I come home from, Grandma, what for lunch? Crab and dumpling.
So back to Rocky, he's facing me. Is he sleeping? Is it?
Yeah, remember Rocky's nocturnal. So Rocky, anytime and he's cool, he's just liking himself. Like, I'll probably just relax him with rock. Right? So he's quite a friendly guy. In the wild, they're not the friendliest. They won't attack you.
No, that's good. He's probably acclimated to humans in some form.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. And so he is, the spots is what makes him, you know, he has a beautiful short coat. He doesn't have an undercoat. So literally, you can literally look between the strands of his coarse fur and see his skin, right? So he wouldn't be, you know, he doesn't need too much protection for where he is, and his predators, his natural predators would be, well, the ocelot possibly, and snakes, large snakes. Other than, and well, humans. Other than that, not too many people, not too many attacking him. The wild boar, wild hog, or the colored peccary, they would, you know, they could have a go at them, especially when they're smaller, because they would eat anything that they can take down. But the fur and the markings in this animal is just amazing.
Yeah, the markings are, I wonder if we can zoom in any way, because maybe we could turn the cage. You let me know if it's not advisable. So you can kind of see him, because his markings are really beautiful.
Yeah, and big, absolutely big, gorgeous eyes.
Can we zoom in at all the eyes?
Okay. And when we zoom, you'll be able to get it. He's just in the shot there. Absolutely gorgeous eye. But notice his whiskers. Look how long these whiskers are. They remind me of some of the girls with their eyelashes. It's like all out there. Okay, and the reason for that is quite simple. He's nocturnal. So he's not going to depend just on his eyes. His whiskers are going to feel around him. Very sensitive, very much connected. So he's going to know quite easily what's going on and what's happening around him. So he's quite a friendly guy. And of course, again, as a rodent, he has these very large incisors. And what that does is allows him to bite through all sorts of nuts and
there's one thing, he was actually biting up the cage earlier.
He's got to, if they do not get access to hard material to bite on all the time, their teeth grow constantly. So they're going to be the same problem that rabbits get. Now, rabbits are not, let me state this here before I'm going to get cursed out, rabbits are not rodents. They look like them. Actually, years ago, they were classified as rodents, but they're now called lapramorphs. So they're a different class of animals. But they have the same problem. If their teeth are not used, because they grow constantly, it grows too long to the point where they wouldn't be able to open their mouth and feed, the animal will starve and die. So chewing on hard stuff and nuts and seeds and stuff like that there is a part, keeps it under control, because if it's not going to stop growing, you have to keep it from getting to the point where it's going to be a problem. So that is a part of it there. So, and all rats, when you hear the rats biting away at things that are not even food, that's a part of their makeup. They must use all rodentia, their teeth grow constantly. The teeth are not replaced, but they just grow constantly. So it must be worn down, else they will end up with serious dietary and nutritional issues, and then death will be slow and painful. We've had animals where the teeth literally sort of like growing through the top and all sort of things. The same problems we have, why people have to wear braces and do dental surgery. These animals face that all the time with fast growing teeth.
If you could also see his feet as well, they're basically like hands. It's really long.
They're 4 in the front, it's 4 in the front and 5 in the back, I believe.
Really quickly, rapid fire, what do they eat?
These are fruit guys.
Fruit guys.
These are fruit guys. Frugivores will be the proper term for them. And they will eat the same diet as an agouti. All sorts of seeds and fruits and vegetables and plant matter, occasionally throwing on some leaves and so on for more moisture content. But they just roam through the forest eating all that good stuff that falls on the ground. So during the day when the macaws and the parrots cut down stuff, the things that the agouti doesn't eat, that's their cleanup job.
Wow.
So it's a whole cycle of activity day and night in an ecosystem. And all of this, at the end result, humans benefit.
Yeah.
The trees grow, seeds grow, shrubs grow, and animals for food whenever it is required, and it's all we're asking people to do is understand and not overdo.
Yeah, understand and not overdo. So we do have to wrap as we are coming. We have cut into talking points time. So thank you so much, Mr. Mead, for coming on.
Thank you for having us. And last appeal for the guys out there doing hunting. Remember, it's not a sport, it's a recreation, because there's no competition there. The animal ain't shooting back at you. But do it in a sensible manner. Think of tomorrow, think of next year. Think of that you would want to get your son in there doing this activity somehow, and you can't hunt if there's nothing to hunt.
Exactly. I love that. You can't do it if there's nothing. Can't hunt if there's nothing to hunt. And I think we can actually end with that as a sort of our quotes today. Remember what it is Mr. Mead is saying. You can't hunt, you can't do anything if there's no animals to cuddle, not maybe cuddle with, but to hunt. There's no animals to eat for food. They can't hunt them out, So be sensible, be reasonable, and if ever in doubt, don't do anything and call the Wildlife Center for conservation, please. That's how you go about doing this. All right, so again, thanks, Mr. Mead. Thanks, Rocky, for coming on. Yeah, thanks for coming on. As always, you can engage with us on WESN TV, WESN CC, or you can WhatsApp us at 682-9376, 682-9376. You can find Naomi and I at Naomi McNish on Instagram, or myself, I am Jada McLeod on Instagram as well, if you want to connect with us. Thanks so much for joining us. We do have Talking Point coming up right after this, so stay tuned for that, and I will see you tomorrow. Bye-bye.
WESN.
Maybe he landed here totally by coincidence. But if by chance he's admiring your fresh coat of Benjamin Moore soft sky blue, well, that's a pretty high compliment. Coming from an expert.
Struggling with heart health or frequent migraines? Discover the simple steps to reclaim your energy and vitality.
We're diving into a topic that affects about 422 million people around the world: diabetes.
Tune into Wellness Unlocked, the series that delivers expert advice, practical tips, and inspiring stories to help you take control of your health and well-being. Your health matters. Don't miss Wellness Unlocked. Watch now on WESN and take the first step toward better health.
My name is Dr. Stephen Carroll, the CEO at Community Hospital of Seventh-day Adventist, and we are committed to making good private healthcare affordable.
For all your medical needs, including dental, radiology, laparoscopy, behavioral and mental health, along with many other services, contact us for more information at 235-5479.
Community Hospital of Seventh-day Adventist,
where good private health care is affordable.
Remember waking up early just to catch your favorite cartoons? WESN brings back those magical mornings with Retro Saturdays.
Thus, the Powerpuff Girls were born!
Where the young at heart relive the fun. Join us every Saturday from 8 a.m. to 12 noon, only on WESN, the content capital.
Every day, we communicate through stories. Stories of ourselves, our challenges, our goals, our experiences, and our aspirations. Storytelling is an art that we have mastered. WESN Film Studios comprises a collaborative team of experts with extensive industry experience locally, regionally, and internationally. The ability of your business to successfully communicate with your preferred audience depends on the strength of the stories you tell. Your vision should be communicated in a high-quality, professional, and creative way. From concept to post-production, advertising to film, multi-camera productions, live events, streaming, and virtual conferencing, we are WESN Film Studio. Let your own unique voice be heard and your vision realized. Call us today at 628-5835 for your next production.
WESN.
Morning. Sean Michael Small Talking Point. Start of the show. Need to settle myself. Plan topics I want to open with. Still mulling about in my head because I had a pest in my ear trying to rush me while I was constrained by the situation that I met. And people who don't understand from your point of view tend to want to chirp like donkeys and not necessarily give due consideration. It's a situation that can happen all too often with regards to various issues in our public discourse. The failure to properly identify what's going on and only wanting to see your needs met as soon as possible, no matter how unrealistic they might be, and no matter how foolish chirping makes you seem, is a potential pitfall that we all face. Now, one of the things I did want to open up with is the situation with the Chief Justice. I myself have not followed his career closely from beginning to end. I know he's steeped in controversy. I do believe the Marcia Caesar thing is one of those strange situations where he did not do what he was supposed to do, but to what extent could we complain that he did the wrong thing or he had bad intentions when doing it? Ultimately speaking, unless records of the event would be released that could be verified, at least to a reasonable degree, we'll never know. We'll never truly know exactly what was said in their private meeting, what she said or failed to say, what he said and failed to say, how it was said, the context, the tone, the delivery, etc., etc. Did he really pressure her, or was he making a request? There's a fine line that, to some extent, the law does not necessarily care about. But that's just one issue. There are others, and to what extent are some of the calls for him to resign over the years valid, and some of them based on politics? And to what extent are some of the calls for him to resign based on people with limited understanding of what's going on, and to what extent is it justified? I'm not here to talk about that. Like I said, I didn't follow his career. I will just use this as an example to kind of show a point of what I was trying to say yesterday with regards to executive members of the police service. They are relatively young in their position, and it means that officers junior to them don't necessarily have any reasonable expectations to be promoted further. Now, for some officers, that's fine. The officers that prefer to be closer to the troops on the ground. The officers that don't necessarily have great ambitions, or, I mean, we're talking about senior officers like senior superintendents and superintendents. So, to some extent, they have to have some amount of ambition. But they don't necessarily all want to be or hope to be commissioner of police, deputy commissioner, and the like. And of course, you have the ones who just, they're here to do the work. They would have been happy getting promoted. They're happy where they are. They're senior enough. The point is they want to make a difference. But one of the key things with that is not only do you potentially stymie the upward advancement of a generation of senior police officers, potentially, but you're also, for the rest of us, we have to hope that the decision was made correctly when they were all appointed, depending on their ages and when their retirements might come up. Because the Chief Justice was appointed very young, and it is described in one of the daily newspapers today as a career dogged by controversy. So there's a catch-22. You get stability, but is it the stability you want? You ensure that the political influence in the office is reduced, but if there are issues that you want addressed, it's harder to address. There's never any right way to do things like this. But at the end of the day, it all comes back down to picking the right person. If you select someone who is young to hold a certain office, and basically it's going to give them an extended period of time to do work, you have less chances to get it right. But if you get it right, you don't have to worry about the decision for a long time. The flip side is, if you go with older heads that will be a year, 2 years, 3 years, 4 years into retirement, they don't necessarily have the security of tenure. They don't have that long-term security to consider long-term planning. That might encourage them to be a bit more urgent in their job, That gives them a little bit less independence from the political class, which is not always a bad thing. But if you operate like that, you have to make the decision more times. You have more turnover, you have less stability, and you have more opportunities to get the decision wrong. There's pros and cons either way. It'll be interesting to see who this government will appoint as Chief Justice. They went the younger route with Commissioner of Police. So far, it might work out to be a great decision with the Commissioner of Police. To be fair to the Chief Justice, though, at some point when you're in such a high-profile senior public official job for over 10 years, let's just go with 10 years, 15 years, at some point, there's going to be a stockpile of criticisms, because no one is perfect. I mean, American presidents, if they could have gone for a third term, it would be a very interesting question on if they could make a third term. If they will get the support for a third term. It's not an accurate assumption necessarily, because that means they would have their lame duck status will be pushed further down the line, and maybe they would be more effective. But generally speaking, 8 years is a long time for a lot of democracies, 8 to 10 years, depending on if it's 4 or 5 year terms, for any democracy to stick with a single administration, as to some extent we've seen. Although whether or not the PNM was just voted out because of fatigue or voted out because of a more visceral, strong emotional reaction, that remains to be seen. The police constable that was involved in the discharge of a firearm incident, let me put it that way, that led to the death of Jamal Charles, he has been charged with manslaughter. The family is upset he wasn't charged with murder. I hate to say this, but I'm not too sure if we'll ever fully know what was going on. Was it just two young men playing around with guns, like, you know, in a foolish, childish manner, and one of them paid the price, but the other one also is going to be paying a price? There's no good way to explain that. There's no good way to excuse that. Even if he wasn't charged, I'm not entirely sure if his career as a SRP or a municipal police officer could really realistically continue as what it could have been. His life has changed. I'm not upset that he's not charged for murder, because unless we had, the other officer didn't see the incident, it hasn't been disclosed if there was any camera footage of the incident, so basically there's only one person that knows what happened. And no matter what he says, how do you corroborate it? But at the end of the day, I think it's a reasonable assumption that there's enough physical evidence outside of his testimony to charge him with manslaughter. And unless you have other evidence to suggest a motive, etc., etc., it might have been an accidental death. Not necessarily an accident in the sense of he's not culpable, but accidental in the sense of, was it really murder? Anyway, this is just one of those strange cases that hopefully, I think, let's go now to private FUL holders. You would expect the police to have better training on safety protocols with handling firearms, so that this thing should be an exception and not the norm. But if more private citizens have FULs, incidents like this, accidents, in the loosest definition of the word like this, can happen. So just be warned now. Just be warned. There are certain people, not because of their demographics, their social economic bracket, their religion, none of that. There are certain people who are just careless and you really want them to have a firearm. I don't know to what extent the commissioner's review will account for that. The Tobago Officer of Tutor, he's kind of saying what I said yesterday, police officers in schools is just a plaster on the sore. But I think it goes back to what I said with the commenter's comment yesterday towards the end of the show. These things aren't zero-sum games. If the only thing the government does is put police in schools, then that's a problem. Not because it's a plaster on the sore, and plasters on the sore are bad. Plasters on the sore are bad if we don't actually do something to correct the situation of why is there a sore in the first place. You could put a plaster on a cut, but your body still has to heal the cut over time, and you have to do things to avoid getting cut in the future. Meanwhile, apparently, somehow, a police officer, now the report is that police officers were in an unused classroom, and at least one of them was locked in by students. I don't know how that happens, to be honest. And to some extent, that just shows potentially the lack of respect for authority. And it's one of those weird things. It's not as though you could, what are you going to do to, I mean, you'll discipline them, but how far could you go? It's a prank, right? But they're pranking, potentially, assuming the reports are correct, they're pranking police officers. There may be some sort of obscure charge that you could potentially slap students with if they do things like this. To what point would it be warranted? It's of all the things that I expected to hear about police in schools, one of the first things is that, well, they were locked in a classroom was not one of them. So, I'll close with this. I hear the good lady outside. The U.S. Miami-Dade Sheriff's Office has put out that it's willing to train local police. Apparently, 2 countries in the region have taken them up on that offer, Haiti and Guyana, to receive training through the Sheriff's Office. Miami-Dade County Sheriff's is one of the largest law enforcement bodies in the United States, and to some extent, one could argue, they should be more experienced than the TTPS in the sense of it's a larger jurisdiction, more officers, they probably deal with more varied situations, and they, like us, have their fair share of international maritime incidents. So it will be interesting because it seems as though the Minister of Homeland Security is interested to see what they have to offer. And part of it is not just because, oh, they should know more than us. Various police services and military forces cross-train because at the end of the day, your experiences are yours, our experiences are ours, and there will always be something to learn from somebody else. So I hope this happens because I do fear to some extent, or at least I question, what our training standards in the police academy are, given how certain types of investigations seemingly go nowhere. But I don't know if the training will go so far as to influence how we conduct white-collar investigations. And with that, I will leave that there. Let's take a break. When we return, we should have the good lady herself. Stay tuned.
My name is Dr. Stephen Carroll, the CEO at Community Hospital of Seventh-day Adventist, and we are committed to making good private health care affordable.
For all your medical needs, including dental, radiology, laparoscopy, behavioral and mental health, along with many other services, contact us for more information at 235-5479.
Community Hospital of Seventh-day Adventist,
where good private health care is affordable.
Take some time for yourself or spend some time with the family at Sandy Point Village Hotel. Enjoy our various studio and suite apartments, self-contained with their own kitchenettes and Wi-Fi. We also have our famous 100-foot swimming pool and our beachfront restaurant, the Steak and Lobster Grill. And our location in Crown Point puts us near the center of activity from the nylon pool to the local nightlife. Call us and make your reservations at 639-8533, 389-2378 or email us at sandypointvillagehotel@gmail.com.
If these walls could talk, they'd cry uncle. They didn't plan to become offices or yoga studios. But they've stood by us, even when we got a little stir-crazy. For that, they deserve some thanks. They deserve Benjamin Moore.
Low energy? Heart concerns? Migraines slowing you down? It's time to take control of your health. Join Wellness Unlocked, the series that brings expert advice and real solutions for a healthier you. In our latest episode, learn how Jameson CoQ10 can help support heart health, boost energy, and even reduce migraines. Get the science, the stories, and the steps to power up your health with CoQ10. Don't miss Wellness Unlocked. Watch now on WESN and start your wellness journey today.
Remember waking up early just to catch your favorite cartoons? WESN brings back those magical mornings with Retro Saturdays.
Thus, the Powerpuff Girls were born!
Where the young at heart relive the fun. Join us every Saturday from 8 a.m. to 12 noon, only on WESN, the content capital.
Knowing how to tell authentic is as easy as 1, 2, 3. Find it, match it, search it. Step 1. Find the style number on the tag. Step 2. Match the style number inside the jersey with the number on the tag. Step 3. Search it. A quick Google search of the style number will verify the jersey is authentic when the search results match the jersey being searched. Don't be fooled by counterfeit jerseys. Before you buy, remember to find it, match it, search it.
Fan Zone, 2 locations nationwide. Center City Mall, Chaguanas and Movie Town, Port of Spain. Nationwide delivery available.
I'm back here talking about the WSND Content Capital Show. Michael Small, joined by Attorney Law Karen Shashera. And there's a lot to get through. So I guess let's go straight into it and we'll hold off on any tangential questions afterwards, because Karen has joined us to speak about, well, a topic that is near and dear to her heart, but to specifically hone in on, and it's something that I briefly mentioned, but she wants to go a lot deeper into it, the economic impact of what's going to happen with regards to the unemployment of the workers of the Unemployment Relief Program, among others, which is, when we were speaking about it yesterday, a very ironic thing to say. The Unemployment Relief Program is now unemployed. Good morning, Karen.
Yeah, I didn't realize that. But good morning to everyone. Glad to be here again this morning with Sean. Yes, we get along very well. We do. We have
even when we disagree.
Yes, even when we disagree. Absolutely.
And we're fighting like cats and dogs.
Well, I wouldn't put it that hard.
No, there's no nails clause involved.
Not at all. But in any event, it's not only the economic impact, but also the social and political impact of the cancellation, termination. I don't know exactly how the government is positioning it now, given that the number of lawsuits are on the horizon, including a decision by the Minister of Local Government Rural Development to give the URP workers, the 400, notice of termination, including 1 month's salary. So, in lieu of notice, I believe. In any event, they seem to be taking a more legalistic approach to what they have done. But I'm not coming here really to speak on that. And the real inspiration, things always inspire you. There are a lot of stories going out there in affecting Trinidad and Tobago in a very, a very direct way. But I wanted to wait a little bit on the CPEP and get my moorings on it before I spoke about it. And an inspiration really came from an interview they did with Professor Emeritus Dr. Carl Theodore. And I'm going to use part of what he said in relation to the economic component. But before I go into that, let's see how many people directly impacted by the decision of this government within 2-3 months of coming into office. I don't think it was much longer than that. Was the CPEP workers, from what I gather, is 10,500 from the reforestation and watershed program, 4,600. And I learned from the URP, 400 have been terminated. I'm sure that's not all the numbers in URP. But URP, CPEP, all these programs, yes, have a social component. There's no question about that. But it also counts as part of our unemployment data. So when you talk about what the unemployment rate is in your country, those programs agree because it is employment. So that brings me to before I go into the economic argument and the other arguments or the other positions on this, I think the first thing I want to start with is the origin or the initial intention behind the CPEP, which I think it did lose its focus, and it's not only under the PNM administration, but the UNC in its version of People's Partnership was really not People's Partnership, as we found out in any event. But when it was in office from 2010 to 2015, I don't think they did anything better. All I can remember from being in Parliament, and I remember Chandra Sharma saying, what CPEP is just there to paint stones. That's what he said. That's the disregard and disrespect they showed for the program. So let's go to the purpose of the program. Well, it was established by former Prime Minister, deceased, Patrick Manning. And it's the CPEP program in particular I'm focusing on. They're the ones mostly affected by it, but URP, all of them. So the CPEP, the Community-Based Environmental Protection and Enhancement Program, was established in 2002 to provide employment and training. You see, a training to promote small businesses and enhance the local environment through community-level environmental work. Key objectives were included the environmental protection, which is, of course, a very hot topic today, maintenance and beautification, as well as fostering national pride by giving citizens, and these are the citizens most disenfranchised, the most vulnerable in our society, particularly those with limited employment opportunities, a path to entrepreneurism. Please excuse my pronunciation. But in any event, that was the intention and was being acted out in terms of what CPEP was intended to do. Its main target was single mothers and giving them the skills, and I'm sure people listening can also attest it, because I've known other persons talk about what was accomplished by persons who were in the CPEP program, especially targeted single mothers who did not have the literacy or educational background to get a job in a more traditional environment. And it was teaching them accounting, be able to, to be able to settle their monthly budget, be able to have the skills, whatever skills they already had, to develop those skills, increase their literacy. And so the whole intention was to wean them off the program, use it as a startup for people who were the most vulnerable, people who could not find jobs in the traditional workplace, and that is reality, because among them, yes, there were people with criminal records. But this, I don't think it was anything, I can't say the extent to which that represented the cohort or the extent of the nature of the criminal act. But the point is, anybody with a criminal record is not a very good thing for you, not helpful to you getting a job. So that is the background to it. Environmental protection and enhancement, employment opportunities, entrepreneurial development, community development. And you can read about it on cpepgov.tt, which is the In-Touch, and they tell you the background to it. So let us put that idea back, to rest, that the intention between CPEP was just to make work projects, which governments have done. I mean, FDR during the Great Depression, and he created a lot of jobs, and that's why a lot of highways and so on were built, because to deal with the unemployment situation. But I'm not here to talk about that today. So let me start with the economic implications. Now we're looking at the number of persons that are employed in these programs. It's about 11,000, and as we know, it doesn't stop there, because these people have, especially the single parents, even the fathers, they all have children, family members who are dependent in some way or the other on them. And this is where it becomes very interesting, where Dr. Theodore was giving his take on the economic implications of closing down the CPEP. And of course, just let me say as an aside before I go ahead, without an alternative plan, and using in all due respect the idea of corruption. I'm not saying there wasn't, I'm not saying that, but you're going to put 11,000 people, not the contractors, 11,000 people on the breadline, people who are the most vulnerable, in the lowest income, in a time when the country's economy is struggling. You're going to put them on the breadline without having some alternative, and you apparently didn't have any problem with it when you were in office. You didn't have any because of the politics, which I will get to. So let's start with the economy. This is what, I'm going to quote from him because I couldn't say it any better than Dr. Theodore and Professor Theodore. And what he spoke about is the marginal propensity to consume. That's an economic term, an economic concept, which speaks to persons both in high and low income, but mostly affecting low income, but it does affect both, but definitely more the lower income, where they have limited amount to have disposable income to do other things besides pay their essential bills. So I'll read what he says, and what he says are the implications of this in relation to the persons most affected, because that was the focus of the article, URP and CPEP fallout. So this is what they said. He said, I would say, Dr. Theodore, Professor Theodore, the consequences. Last month, Sunday Garden revealed that 5.6 billion was spent on URP between 2010 and 2024. In any event, the consequences, experts said, will not be confined to the breadline. Consumer demand will shrink. Hustling will multiply on the nation's street, and the country's chronic economic dependence on oil and gas will be exposed once more as a dangerous Achilles heel. If I pronounce it wrong, I'm sorry. Okay, so this is what he said. Economist Professor Carl Theodore was blunt. Whenever you interfere with the incomes of low-income people, i.e. CPEP and URP, you are interfering with the very lifeblood of the economy. You know, he's a very respected economist. Just in case people don't know, he's done a lot of work for international entities. As a consultant, he's highly, highly regarded. Theodore pointed to the well-worn but seldom measured principle of marginal propensity to consume, the idea that those who earn the least spend the most proportionally on local goods and services. He says poor people don't sit on money, they spend it on food, transport, small shops, schools, books for their children. That keeps the economy ticking. Then he noted that while government has focused on trimming the state programs on the grounds of inefficiency and corruption, it may not have calculated the aggregate, the aggregate shock that it would cause. He says not just 400 people in URP and 10,000 from CPEP and so on. You are referring to households that are no longer have a reliable income. That has a catastrophic, God, how I pronounce it now? Catastrophe. Oh God, I'm butchering the word, but we know what the word.
I know exactly.
Say it.
Catastrophic.
Very good.
And trust me,
use your pronunciation.
Less complicated words have stymied me in the moment live on air before, so don't worry about it.
There's too many syllables in that word. I think that's the problem.
No, I think it's just when your brain kind of, you know the word, but it's to say it, all of a sudden you just start to doubt yourself.
Can I just say as an aside, because I was a lecturer for so many years. Yeah, and teaching law students both at the law school and at the LLB level, one of the things I made a great effort to do before I had a lecture was to say, how do you say that? Because I just didn't want these smart Alex students to say, oh, Mrs. Sheriff, look, she's butchering that word and she's supposed to be educated. So anyway.
If only some politicians would have that much care when they give speeches. And I'll leave that there.
Okay, let's leave that there. Let's go ahead with what I was saying, okay? So we know what I butchered the word, but we know what I meant. And language is a living thing, so we communicate. Therefore, Theodore predicted a fall in growth in 2025, reversing the modest uptick for last year, 2024. The money these workers earned had a low import content, which is another conversation which I think needs to be had. Import content compared to the higher classes. They weren't flying out to Miami, they were buying doubles, school uniforms, and paying maxi taxis. When that income disappears, you know who's affected? It's the parlor owners, the food vendors, and the maxi taxis. Now, that is actually a reality. And so when you don't have money entering into the economy, people not spending or having the ability to spend more than just to maintain their basic necessities, obviously that is going to impact the economy because there's less employment, less demand. And when there's less demand, there's less incentive for people to open up businesses and employ people, and so it goes down the domino effect. And that is what he's saying about the impact of firing or terminating or whatever language they are using now. There are 11,000 people on the breadline. That's what we know. And what we know from Minister Padarath, I think he said that he doesn't know when it's going to be reinstated. So that is very, very worrying for the country, as we have to understand. You know, we talk about these make work and social programs, but the alternative is what? To put them on the dole, right, where they don't work and they get the state is supporting them.
And I just wanted to reiterate the point. The money that they would have spent would have then trickled through. The lack of that expenditure is not just that there's less money in the economy, but then some of those service providers and vendors might then become unemployed, and it will potentially kind of continue in a daisy chain, maybe not snowball, maybe snowball, right, and expand or grow. So it's not just these workers are unemployed, right? The lack of money that they're spending, as Karen was saying, does have a trickle-down effect.
Absolutely, because they are supporting the businesses, like the maxi taxi owners, like the owner of the parlor. So it goes on and on and on. And that's the challenge always in as an economist, to try to balance the economy, always to try and bring that balance. And you're dealing with inflation anyway. It's all kinds of things that come into the equation. So we know from Dr. Theodore, Professor Theodore, the economic on the national economy by having so many people on the breadline. And included in that is the unemployment rate. I've spoken many times about the labor force participation rate, which you have to consider with the unemployment rate. Because the last time, so much for the statistical information from CSO being updated, because the last data we have, I checked it up to yesterday, unless there, some miracle it's been updated, but the last data we have on the unemployment rate is 4.9, which on itself doesn't sound bad. But then you have to look at the labor force participation rate, which are persons over 16 who are not institutionalized, whether in a mental health or whether in a nursing home, whether in a prison. Also persons who are over the age of 60 who have left the working, no longer the workforce, or persons who are students, but are students whether at university and so on. So you have to consider that. But the labor force participation rate is exceedingly important to determine what the real unemployment rate is. Because when you are determining the unemployment rate, you're using that participation rate to come to your unemployment rate. And when we talk about the unemployment, remember the definition doesn't only or employment does not only, or unemployment, sorry, does not only mean people who are not working, they've fallen out of the employment market, but persons who are actively searching for a job within a specified period, I think it's a few months, 2-3 months, and who then give up because they can't find a job. And it's not that they don't want to work, it's just there are no jobs available for them. And what we are seeing the last, before Q1 of 2025, which is the last data we have on the labor force and also unemployment, what we have is the last figure was for 2024, and I believe I'm just looking here, the 2024, I think it was 55.9 was the labor force participation rate for Trinidad. It fell in quarter 1 2025 to 54.3. So that is a fall. But what you have to know, with putting over 11,000 people on the breadline, you have to know that the labor force participation rate, since this government came into office, definitely, which would start from quarter 2, going into quarter 3, which ends in the end of September, is going to even fall lower. And therefore, any unemployment rate will, even if it shows as being low, is not going to be, it is not going to tell the whole story. That's why you have to look at that labor force participation rate. And this, the number of unemployed persons on the breadline now, you can expect, and that is not good, because employment is what is the fuel that is the engine for an economy. The more people that are employed, the more there's productivity. Productivity is measured, the gross domestic product, the goods and services that a country produces, is made by people, the goods and services, and the more people that are employed in the economy, the more that the economy is healthy and doing well. So this is not something that one could just, dismiss. This is something that not only, we're already in a very difficult period in terms of employment opportunities. And the macroeconomic indicator, that is one of the major macroeconomic indicators. And so I don't know what is the thinking of the government to think that taking this step, and it's harsh and unkind, really is an unkind step, and using the excuse of corruption. I say excuse because I think you could have done it a different way. I don't think you had to shut it down. I think that was a convenient excuse. And even if you say it's not, guess what? Most people think it is. Most people think that's what happened. If you speak to the man in the street along the East-West corridor, which you indicated, one of your ministers, I believe, indicated the CPEP contracts were more focused on the East-West corridor. And we know why that is code sometimes for saying something you don't want to come out and say explicitly. If you ask them on the East-West corridor, many of them are going to say that it was a deliberate measure, a deliberate decision, and corruption was used as an excuse for doing what they wanted to do. It's not good, not good at all. It really does speak to when we win, everybody wins. Well, I don't know about that anymore. I bet if you go and ask a lot of those people that believed it, I think if you had to go back and pivot back to them, they might not agree with that. So that goes for the economic argument. And then the political. I could not do better, I think, than going back and seeing when the People's Partnership, which is really the UNC, was in office, what was being said about that same project. They were talking about URP, but URP, CPEP about the same sort of, same objective. And this is what they said in an Express, let me see if I have the right one. Yes, Express editorial. In 2011, January 17, 2011. So UNC People's Partnership was in office. And this is what they had to say, talking about the politics of it, pretending it has nothing to do with politics. Oh, yes, it does. So they talked about them, and they said, such change in government as the People's Partnership is advancing evidently stops at the door of the unemployment relief program. Long-standing centerpieces of the spoiled systems which governments in Trinidad and Tobago have operated for the past 40 years. The supporters have expectations for favored treatment is now confirmed at the level of a cabinet minister, Winston Gypsy Peters, who openly, at that time he was, openly admits that the URP is a tool to preserve partisan votes. You hear that? That was them, one of their ministers openly admitting to that. Okay, the URP is there as a political thing to help people, Minister Peters told the Express, going on to complain that the PNM beneficiaries were now frustrating, this is quoting him, all the other people who are not getting in there. In context then, the minister's other people are presumably People's Partnership supporters, and the logical inference is that partisan feeding, this partisan feeding trough should continue, but with a differently targeted nepotism. And I could go on it, and in any event, it ends by providing, he says, in light of this, it is instructive that the coalition government continues to play with fire by using the URP as a crude political tool, and so on and so on. You can read the article. And then it ends by providing jobs for votes. The partnership is reaffirming that the URP in its various incarnations since the Eric Williams crash program is change resistant and deep-seated as an aspect of our political culture. regardless of who is in power. Such instances make the politician's claim of new governance sound increasingly hollow. It's the same prime minister then that is the prime minister now. Understand that? Okay? It's the same prime minister. And they admitted to that. You're going to tell me anybody believes you when you say it's not being used like that? There's another article I read actually, which was Warner. And he was outspoken. He said the PNM have all these things in the CPEP and URP is that our people looking for jobs. We have to, and he was so frustrated. That was another article. So you coming and telling us that this is done to cure corruption. Why didn't you do it between 2010 and 2015? Because it suited you. It suited you to continue it. And now what you are doing is restructuring. That is code, you know. When you restructure, when anytime a company says they're restructuring the organization, you know what they're going to do? They fire it and hire in the ones that they want there.
Just want to point out, that's essentially what might have happened with Biwi Takal, what we believe happened with Petrotrin,
oh, yes,
right? So, and as you point out, this is not a one-sided thing. This is how it's done.
Yes, and so you see, so from the political perspective, I don't think you win that argument by saying that it's all done to weed out corruption. I don't think you can say that since, as I've already said, there are people who are senators and chairmen of boards, very important boards in terms of the economy, who have questions over their own conduct. And we know that. It's not that I'm not calling names, but we know who they are. So when you say you're going to bust their head, you need to bust some heads the other day already. And then when you look, which I read out a few weeks ago, the change in the boards. I mean, it was disgraceful. I don't know how you all could sit down there and feel comfortable, you know. Who do you think you're fooling? Who do you think you are fooling? We are not fooled. When you look at the composition of your boards, down to nearly every single board of any importance, both the chairman and invariably, definitely the chairman, and invariably the vice chairman, let's put it this way, all have what I consider an East Indian Hindu name, almost up there. And I read it out already, so I don't have to question it. If I have to come back again and call it out, I'll call it out, right? And you said that you changed. We're going back to our time now. You are, 2 wrongs do not make a right. Coming now and saying, if that is what is motivating some of your ministers to say it's our time now, then it didn't change. We can't move. This country is not going to develop. We're not going to move forward, and that is what the hope you brought to many people. So, having said that the CPEP is used, the economic implications, and from none other than a very respected economist in our country, Professor Emeritus Carl Theodore, a national scholar, by the way. I just happen to know that, as well as St. George's. He went to St. George's. Made us all proud. In any event, Professor Carl Theodore, and we have other economists also commenting on that. And then we look at the political implications, and then you have the social. I mean, you know, I could only use as a reference, which comes to me, is Jamaica under Manley's time. When the IMF came in there, now the IMF has reconsidered its position in its assisting countries, and Jamaica is seen as a poster child for what the IMF has been able to achieve with the clear contribution and also the cooperation beyond that of the people of Jamaica. It's not being, you know, a top-down approach at all. So I'm not speaking about now, because they obviously learned a lesson, and they have said that. In Manuel's time, they came in with very harsh medicine, saying you have to fire this one, fire that one. All these projects, all these social projects, all these employment projects, you had to do that if the economy was going to recover. Guess what happened? Not only the economy did not recover, but the foreign investment that you were intending to attract did not materialize, because a lot of the foreign investors looked at Jamaica as a very socially unstable environment. And one thing business likes is like certainty. They don't want to go into an environment where there was a lot of protests and unrest in Jamaica as a result of that. So what you are doing here in Trinidad and Tobago, at the very least, if I were a foreign investor, given the environment with the oil and gas, and we already know the challenges there, And with the crime, which I give you credit for doing a lot in that area and doing it successfully, I will give you all the credit for that. But when they look at that, I don't think with all the choices they have that they are going to necessarily want to invest in Trinidad and Tobago. And this issue with the CPEP, these things, they know that is a potential for unrest. They have nothing to lose. They're at the end or the bottom of the barrel, so to speak. So what are they going to lose? The CEO is going to fire them. They don't have anything to lose. You know, they have everything to gain. You know, they are the ones who are most impacted, and unfairly so. So those are the three major points. I dealt with the economic point, which I started with, and I take no credit for it, the marginal propensity to consume, and what has been said on that. And then, of course, the political argument, which is really hollow according to the Express article. It does ring hollow. Why didn't you do something about it then? Huh? Why didn't you? Because it suited you too.
Right, because if they did something about it then, a lot of our situations, problems, issues, we look at them as long-term problems. So if you did something about it then, it might have been solved by now. But now we're back to square one. It's like a hamster on a wheel. It's never ending, right?
And what they would have done, if they did anything about it, and what they are saying with their restructuring, those code words, those nice little words that companies use when they're trying to get rid of people that they don't want, I feel it's just going to be an exchange, but not fair. Mm-hmm. It's going to be an exchange. And are we not going to have some of the same problems, except on just a exchange, and an exchange which people in this country, especially those who would have voted for your government or stayed away from voting for who the traditional base that the PNM enjoys, that those people at very least must feel a sense of betrayal. I feel it for them anyhow, and I'm sure I'm not alone. So, so much for let's see how you're restructuring, because I've already heard it talk, even when they spoke about it in the 2010-2015 period. I think Minister Rudal Munilal was the minister who was responsible for those programs. And he wanted to, I think, that's my opinion, he wanted to diminish or dilute or neutralize the very clear, obvious comments that Warner said, with saying, you know, the PNM people still have the jobs, we voted for you, we need the job. Mm. He then turned and says, no, it's not about that, it's more equitable a more equitable distribution of the program. But he made a very important point. He said geographic. And they talk about the East-West corridor. They did that in 2010 to 2015. You know, as far as I know, Rudal Munilal is still one of the senior members of parliament. So don't expect to hear a lot of when they restructure, see how it's going to look. Let's see how it's going to look. Just like the chair boards, and they cannot question that I am saying. You put down a list of all the boards, NGC, Paria, put them all down for people to, NIB, let us see it, and let us call out the demographic composition or ethnic composition, and who are all the chairman of every single board. And you know the chairman is the most important, right? Right? Let us, but you put it out for the people of Trinidad. Facts are stubborn things. One of my former colleagues used to say that in Parliament all the time. He said, facts are stubborn things, they will not go away. So I challenge you to go now with all your talk about when we win, everybody wins. I challenge you to put a list of all your state boards, especially more, you know, NGC. I think the only one that got Unitrust, I think that guy got Unitrust. But in any event, all the major boards in this country, and put down the name of the chairman and the composition of those boards, and we will see the fact that what you're doing in CPEP is another continuation of what you're doing, and we need to watch you.
A couple of things I want to point out. One, some people might say, oh gosh, why is Karen so against the UNC?
I'm not.
And here's the thing, let's put it this way, she is more or less criticizing in the same manner that she did with the previous administration.
Absolutely.
And it's not about, I don't like them because they use the sun on their logo. I don't like them because they wear yellow. I don't like them because of where they live. It's about the decisions being made and the disagreement with decisions being made. That's point number one. Point number two, as to what you were pointing out, it's a bad sign that when you make decisions like this, that leaves the country speculating and it's low-hanging fruit negative speculation, right? Let's just put it that way. Of course, we don't necessarily have like memos to say that this is the plan and stuff like that. But the results are the results. Facts are stubborn things. And a lack of any sort of even an attempt to really explain what is your process, what you're trying to do, it makes you think, is it because you can't explain it? Is it because you have no good reason to give us, and that's why your mom, which is something that we saw in the previous administration at times, right? When Karen would call them all for things and we're left, and what we would say, you're leaving us to speculate because you're not communicating. The only explanation I've got that even comes close to trying to defend this situation with the boards did not come from an actual member of the UNC. And while I respect the speaker, the fact of the matter is, why does he have to defend
Who's
you?
that?
I won't say his name on it.
Right.
My point is, why isn't the UNC able to defend themselves?
Listen to me, I think...
No, but I'm just thinking, it's not with regards to him, it's more that, why isn't there official channels of the decision makers?
Okay,
why is it indirect channels?
Yes.
Right? Because then to some extent, that doesn't carry the same weight. He is willing to say it, you're not willing to say it?
No,
why?
Sean.
So then it goes into to what extent is he's giving us an explanation that might not be totally applicable. I don't know.
Okay, and
it matters more if it comes from the source.
Okay, so I want to say one other thing before. Okay, let me deal with that, and then I will. No, I do believe, and but being, I always say it, but it's not. It's only intended to say, you get a different lens of things when you're being inside. You know what I mean? And sometimes that if you. I'm not saying the person I don't know who you're talking about. But what I'm saying is, oftentimes they know it will be far more palatable or be credible if it comes from a source that is not seen to be officially or formally part of the UNC, because it will just be looked at as propaganda. But when it is someone who, on the face of it, appears to be independent of that, then it takes on more credibility and authenticity. And that is a strategy that politicians use. You don't underestimate politicians, Do not underestimate them. And the other thing I wanted to say is that, yes, you have to be concerned. And the reason you can't disconnect things, That thing with the board, that's one. That thing with CPEP and URP, which doesn't make too much sense, that's another thing. And the other thing with the schools, come on, give us the list of the schools. I want to see the list of the schools, because that's another way, because that saying you have to put policemen in those schools is to say that those schools are harboring children who are violent and so on. And I would like to see your list. Give us the list. I want to see what schools are on that list and where they are. I am not, first of all, even Tutor said that, what are you putting policemen in? What are you putting? You are putting those children who go to those schools and they're trying to get a job or they're trying to get a scholarship, because whatever they're trying to do. And when you associate that school with levels of violence, what do you think you are hurting? It's that same child, because I can speak from my own experience. When I was teaching at the law school, and I will leave it as vague as I can, but I had students, a lot of them that came from the so-called Laventille movement, who were some of my best students actually, right? But the problem they had, one in particular, someone called me from an institution that is very traditional and well respected, and they called me with a good intention and said this person had applied for a position as a lawyer, but they were concerned because the person came from Laventille. Yes. I mean, the person knew me well enough to be straight with me, and I do not think there was any prejudice, untoward prejudice at all. But that is what they said to me, and I then vouched for the student, because one of the students I happen to have known pretty well. And a few months later, that same person called me to say, what a fantastic job that young lady was doing. The point I made, the stigmatization that we put on these students on the East-West corridor, understand the code, it doesn't stop. This is how it builds, You can't take your eye off the target, They start with the boards, then they go to the CPEP and URP, then they go to the police thing, and all you're doing is stigmatizing a particular group in the country. And I know that's what you're doing. I I could put down, I could say that that is, well, I shouldn't say I know, but I pretty well feel confident that this is not happening. This is not
That's like a cycle.
Not a cycle, a building. You see, it's building. You see, you start with something.
No,
like
what I mean is when the party changes, to some extent, because as you pointed out, we've kind of seen some of this before.
Exactly. But the difference is you came up on a platform that people believed in. So let's get that clear. And I mean, the PNM was clearly shot themselves in their foot, in their legs, in their arm. They shot themselves all over. I mean, that's the fact. But what I'm saying is you came in on a platform of doing this, and people did believe you. So you're the prime minister, you're the one they believed. And what you're seeing, slowly but inexorably, a movement towards a certain, a certain narrative. And I'm just saying that, and maybe I'm saying that because I am infected by politics. Maybe that is the reason, so I see that in what is happening. But I'm just saying that, one should not dismiss that. That's what I'll see.
All right, we have a couple of comments about the CPAP issue. CPAP work requires skill as any other job. Let's take the next one. The unemployed has to meet the basic cost of living expenses. This problem can be resolved. Now, I'm not entirely sure what is the total point you're trying to make, but the thing with CPAP and URP, to what I understand, is it's to impart skills.
Exactly.
Right, to some extent. No, but here's the trick. I do think that perhaps the statements, at least maybe the first one, is implying that the mission of CPAP and URP it's not actually fully what we're getting now. Yeah. And then the second point of having to, the problem can be resolved, but the question is how, right? And I think ultimately what Karen is pointing to, even if you want to strip it down to the basic components, is, what comes after these decisions that you made? Because these decisions are not solving anything. Police in school are not going to solve the problem. They'll just stymie the problem. Okay, ending the contracts with CPAP and URP, that's not going to solve the problem of the two entities not actually carrying out the intended function. It's just going to suspend the lack of carrying out the intended function, right? But it's not going to solve the problem. It's not going to solve the problem that unemployment relief, a program for unemployment relief, making those people completely unemployed doesn't solve any problem, because again, part of an economy, as Karen pointed out, right? Why did FDR have the New Deal during the Depression and have large-scale infrastructure projects, not just roadworks, but that dam in Nevada, that famous dam, I can't remember the name of it, right? Yeah, I believe was built.
There was a film on it, was there?
I can't remember, but many films use it, right? The point is, you get the workers to get an income so that they could buy things. Otherwise, the manufacturers now, their market is going to shrink, so their business is going to shrink. It will eventually affect even, not all of the 1%, depending on the situation, but it will start to affect the wider economy. Because when manufacturing companies who service a lot of these sectors of the economy get affected, they themselves will have their liquidity and spending patterns affected that could then reach to the upper echelons of the economy, right? We do have two opponents on the line. We'll take the call. Good morning. Call you on the air. Call, good morning.
Yes, good morning.
Go ahead, call. Yes, go ahead.
Yes. Good morning to the panel. I would just like to find out, apart from the scholarly assessment of the economic implication, could the question of the employment of the CPAP people be more productive if it can be linked to their being engaged or employed, in technical vocational training, including agriculture, including care for the elderly and things like that. In other words, they work because I haven't really seen any of them working more than 4 or 5 hours. So I'm suggesting that, let's say at the afternoon period, this be part and parcel of their employment, their engagement in these programs. So I'm just inquiring whether this cannot be a feasible way of ensuring that you have a more trained population and consequently a more productive one. Thank you.
Yes, I'll just say on that, and that's a good point you made. But I think when you look at the CPEP program in its initial incarnation, as I understood it, you were talking about mainly targeting single mothers who are either victims of, well, you know, in a very vulnerable situation. So without any, probably not finishing high school, much less primary school. So you have to train them up. So this is who you're targeting, the ones that you need to train up. And when you have trained them up, they can't, some of them may not be able to read and write. You have this altar who has, there are a lot of functionally, persons who are functionally literate, maybe, you know.
Illiterate, functionally illiterate.
Well, functionally literate is what they say. Because, for example, they know that the stop sign says stop. but they don't know it because they say stop, you know. They know it because they know what it says. But I don't want to go down that road too much. Alter does that route. So you have to train them up. You realize, you know, I think one doesn't understand the level at which you are the target for that program. It's not, it's not people with one subject in CXC or, you know, are literate already who understand basic, you know, balancing their budget. These are people who don't even have that. They don't even have that. So you want to get them to that stage, and certainly what you are recommending is good, because the intention, as I understood it, certainly, is that eventually when you give them enough skill sets, they'll be able to run their households more efficiently. They'll have a level of independence, and they'll be able to start a little parlor, a little catering, because now they know how to balance a book, and so on. Mm-hmm.
All right, I do want to take a break. Can we take a break before the call? All right, let's take a break. I'll also respond to the previous caller's comments, but we take the break first. When we return, we'll take Claxton Bay. Stay tuned. This is Talking Point. We'll be right back.
Every time someone steps into your elevator, they trust it will carry them safely. That's why preventative maintenance matters. It protects lives and shields you from liability. It prevents sudden breakdowns that disrupt business and drain budgets. And it keeps you compliant, so you never have to second-guess safety. With Ardent Solutions, you're not just maintaining elevators, you're protecting people, preserving trust, and keeping your building moving forward.
This is 10 Questions. I'm Andy Johnson. The distance from where we should be in the world in going forward on our commitments with climate change.
The effects of climate change that cannot be accounted for, it's called loss and damage. And we're seeing loss and damage happening so much more in this decade and the previous decade.
The principal term there was this question of the correspondent banking issues.
That is why we're trying to build capacity with this country here, Trinidad and Tobago, and other countries in the region. Man is not showing any signs of stopping or even slowing down. More than half of the forest in Trinidad is already gone.
All the plants and all the animals and all of the nice clean water and fresh air and everything had to be on this planet for humanity to have a chance.
We have small change when it comes to countries that can take decisions, and when they speak, the world listens.
The General Assembly is a very democratic forum. And Trinidad and Tobago has the same vote as Canada, in spite of the obvious difference in size.
Maybe he landed here totally by coincidence. But if by chance he's admiring your fresh coat of Benjamin Moore soft sky blue, well, that's a pretty high compliment. Coming from an expert.
And we're back here and talking about a WESN. We have two callers waiting. Claxton Bay, I believe, should be first, so we'll take the call. I'll hold off on my comments. Claxton Bay, good morning. Mute your TV, Claxton Bay.
Yeah, hi, good morning. Yeah, hi, good morning.
Morning.
Yeah, good morning. Sean and Mr. Shera. Mr. Shera, you was hot this morning. And I think if we have media personnel to come out and tell the people, if they keep telling the people the truth in this country will be different, you know. But you see, we have too much cover up. People just be hiding. And because you hire biases, okay, you hire biases, whether it's UNCP and or what. But they could say when something wrong, and this what's going on in this country is wrong. You can't have your whole board and everybody not recognizing that, like it be in India. That is stupidness. And we sitting down and taking these things gradually. But you know what? I ain't kind of vexed they're doing that, you know. You know why? Because in 2010, after 2015, when she lost the election, she then went in the Renzi complex for 2 weeks. And then she went down in the Diwali Naga. And she told the people that she was sorry. She thought she could have run the country under Hinduism. So there we goes again. She come back. And this time to show me, well, this is what we're doing. We have a majority and we don't care about nobody. We're doing that. And like Mr. Shara said, that is going to be very dangerous to this country because Patrick Manning warned us. He said, don't believe that here cannot come like Guyana. And this kind of stupidness where these people who have education continue to do. They only just come like you're throwing gas and just waiting for somebody to light it. The other thing is that our economy is drying up because all them US ships that is out on the ocean soon, people is going to be afraid because America is a warmonger country. You don't know who they're going to shoot and then say it's an accident and all kind of thing. Just now, the cargo ships won't be able to come. And the people won't be able to get food in the country. What is going to happen to us? Who is talking to Miss Bissessa? Who is talking to Miss Bissessa? It is Macaromio. That is the man who talking to her. Sean, people like Olia and Mr. Shera, all they need to talk to this woman before something happens. Thank you.
Thank you, caller. I'll hold off. We have Sanford on the line. We'll take San Fernando. Good morning, caller. You on there?
Good morning, Sean. Good morning, Karen. You hear me, Sean?
Yes, we're hearing you. Sorry. Good morning.
Yes.
Yes.
Good morning. Now, I want to start where Karen started with respect to when she spoke about the economic effects of sending home that number of people in CPEP and what it does to communities both socially and economically. Let me say this. When I worked for an international company, and one of our businesses was our downstream businesses was convenience stores. And our most profitable convenience stores in the region, all of the region, were in Haiti. And let me tell you why. During our surveys of convenience stores worldwide, what we recognized was that convenience stores that are placed in communities that are lower middle income to poor do much better than the other. And it's because of just what Karen said. When those people get money, the first thing they do is try to satisfy their basic needs, which is food or a treat. And that is what makes the money. So our strategies, when we had planned to put convenience stores in Trinidad, we brought in a company here to look at the locations for us to purchase to put convenience stores. The plan never materialized, but you would be shocked at the areas that those people picked for us to put convenience stores in Trinidad and Tobago. and there ain't no affluent areas. Let me just say that. Now, let me put some 3 things out there quickly. In addition to what Karen was saying about the boards. The board of NGC has instructed the management of NGC to pull all steel band memberships and sponsorships. That's a fact. They have done that already. They have moved, the permanent secretary in the Ministry of Legal Affairs. They have moved that permanent secretary. And is it that the secretary was, the PS was moved because the PS refused to hire a particular law firm in San Fernando? That one of your contributors on your show previously, Sean, has an office in. And I understand that they have been given a contract. That's 2. The third thing is I saw Minister, what's his name, Philip Alexander and Miss Benjamin in St. Mary's, Moruga, looking at 2 P&M housing projects that they talked about and all the cracks. And there are issues with those 2 housing projects, I must admit. Yeah? And he talked about they're going to take legal action against the previous administration for this. Let me say this: under that project, the entirety of that project, from the time they were clearing the land, they cleared the land, and then they built 2 phases. The project was built in 2 phases. There's a phase 1 and a phase 2. The person that was the head of UDCOT, who was responsible for that project, under the PNM and under the UNC, was Ms. John. And I could say a lot more as to why it was approved, even though the condition it was in then, now, the condition it was in then when it was approved by the UDCOT. I think there's so much more I could say. Now, I want to go back quickly, Sean, to your Dr. Ellis on your program last week Friday.
Yeah.
It was good that you got Dr. Ellis.
Well, I didn't get him. That was Naomi on
Well, it was great for Naomi because Naomi is turning out to be I'm looking at a great. I said the WSN doing
but
great
he has to take shares in WSN?
WSN doing great things. Yes. I mean, she's a little timid. I mean, when you're young and you're dealing with these people, but she's coming along. Now, let me say this about Dr. Ellis. If you look at Dr. Ellis's bio, right? Dr. Ellis's bio and his position, his academic positions that he gave on that program with you all there. Dr. Ellis is tongue-in-cheek. Dr. Ellis, if you look at Dr. Ellis's writings, which I went and did some of his writings, Dr. Ellis has no problem with what the U.S. government is doing right now. Based on his writings and based on his previous job in the last Trump administration. Let me also say this. The DEA, all that he spoke about, and the DEA has an office in Barbados. They have one in Trinidad, in Port of Spain. They have one in Peru. They have one in Colombia. They have one in Mexico. They have one in Curacao. Now, on the DEA's drug report for 2025, which came out in May, we talked about all the issues and all the drug cartels. And there is no mention of any cartel called Cartel of the Suns, which Dr. Ellis want to propagate on the people. In the DA's recent report, the 2025 report, no mention. They mentioned Tren de Agua. And the mention of Tren de Agua, when you read it, they mostly focus on on human trafficking into the U.S. and a lot of gang activity, middle-level drug distribution, and prostitution rings and that kind of thing in the United States of America, in the communities that the Venezuelans have set up. So I want to put that out there because I see the United States continue to murder people in international waters, which they did again on other boats.
Mm-hmm.
Now, let me also say this. The UN Convention on the Laws of the Sea, America has never been a party to that agreement. So they figure they could do what they want because they haven't signed the agreement. And the intention, as far as I see, is to provoke the Venezuelans into making a move. It's about provocation. Something has to give. Something has to give. And if you go back and you look back at since Mr. Chavez came in and all the attempts they have made to try and destabilize Venezuela. That issue with Chevron, Chevron getting a license recently to extract oil out of Venezuela was brokered by another person in the Trump administration. So there's a rift between that person and a faction and Marco Rubio's faction, because Mr. Rubio has put on record that Venezuela has to change regimes. And it ain't now he's talking about that.
Mm-hmm.
That Cuban lobby that seemed to hate Venezuela for helping Cuba in Miami, that Florida lobby, which Mr. Rubio is part of, is part of this problem. But we'll wait and see. Have a good day, Karen. Thanks for the information. Bye.
Yeah. Thank you, Paul. I will just say this. Yes, I understand Dr. Ellis has a pro-U.S. approach, but one of the things that he said that I took note of was his wariness of regime change. And he said not only is regime change risky in of how bad the situation could evolve, but then you could even get a situation where you get the veneer of regime change without actually solving any of the problems you claim to want to solve. So as much as I knew that he had a pro-U.S. stance, he's a professor with I can't remember the institution, but it's a military academic institution. The fact that he was basically saying regime change is not a good thing, it's not a guaranteed fix, I took note of that as someone who's supposed to be cheering for that. Well, he's cheering for his side, but I don't think he's cheering for that agenda. One other thing I'll say before I let you comment on it. With regards to cargo ships being wary, other parts of the world, we're not accustomed to it, but other parts of the world, cargo ships have basically had to undertake a certain amount of risk. In some ways, you could say more risk because they were targeted, or they are targeted in certain parts, in certain seas directly. And they have had to figure out a way to work alongside military operations just to safeguard them. I go back to the Somali pirate situation where you had a quasi-naval police situation. In that case, it's to protect the actual shipping themselves, right? I don't necessarily think that if things are limited to what they've been to currently, which is no guarantee, I don't think shippers would necessarily, it wouldn't be a big stretch for them to continue operations. But that's if things are limited to what they are now, right? I can't say, Mr. San Fernando, that what you said is not true. It could be they're trying to provoke. I have no evidence to say one way or the other, right? Because I will say this, the other thing about the Somali pirate situation is that why in that situation you could operate like a police force and look to capture, but in this situation you seem quite content to just destroy. That question, I think, is one that until we get a proper answer for, it's not a clear situation that we could be 100% comfortable with, that everything's fine, nothing to see here. That question still hangs over the whole situation. We do have Faisabad on the line. We'll take the call. Faisabad, good morning.
Good morning, Karen. Good morning, Sean.
Morning.
All right. So, with respect to to Venezuela and the issues that they are having, the U.S. intervention, we must remember that Venezuela continues to provoke Guyana, regardless of having the international law that says that the Essequibo region was given to Guyana. Yes, so they started the provocation there. Now the U.S. has a big investment in Guyana that they would have to protect. Yes?
Mm-hmm.
When they went there, and they didn't get through with the last one during the election time when they were carrying ballot boxes and what have you to have the people in the Essequibo region vote as a Venezuelan election. The U.S. intervened, they backed off, but you know, they came to Trinidad. They started their provocation to Trinidad, you know. Yes. So I have no issue with America being big brother to the smaller states that Venezuela could and probably will, given the opportunity, take advantage of. So I have no issue with that at all. With respect to the drought, clearly America would have signaled their intention to go on a war against drought. However, people choose to defy that and still continue to do their drug running. Of course, it will have consequences as far as that goes. I doesn't have an issue with that as well. Because in Trinidad, we are having a serious problem with drought, which is driven by crime and criminality. There's no secret about that. You know, so I think, you know, let people from Venezuela have been living in droves. That is why we are having so many immigrants here from Venezuela. So it clearly says something. And it's not only to Trinidad, they went to Colombia, they went to Brazil. Wherever they could have seek refugee status, they went. So that in itself would tell you that everything is not well in Venezuela. Yes, because people, you don't use vinegar against fly, you use honey. Yes, the fly will run away from the vinegar. So I have no issue with that, Carol. I'm sorry, but I am glad that the Americans are here and they're doing what they are doing, that we can get some assistance with our drug problem. Thank you.
Okay, can I just
yeah.
two things? One, I want to go back to what we were talking about, the CPEP, and only to say that I was glad that I had forgotten that Mr. Sampiano mentioned it. See, the movement is going in a direction. Pay attention, pay attention. 3 major steel bands, you pull the support from them by NGC. It's NGC, I think it's NGC that did it. And then this whole confusion or this whole argument about whether the steel band should be replaced on the coat of arms. And then how the Prime Minister did not celebrate our independence, did not do anything to them. Look at add those things, add them up, and you're going to get the answer. Right? So that deals with that. With respect to the gentleman speaking, I think you have made, in all due respect to you, you have simplified a matter that is far more complicated than you are presenting. What I will agree with you, and that's subject, of course, to reserving my opinion on it, because I do still think it's a very developing story with a lot of, I don't want to put myself in a situation where I comment precipitously on it, and that is, I do think that America coming in here and dealing with the drugs, listen, that's all we could do. How many years, troops on the ground? I mean, we could go on and on. And we're not
with regards to the drugs?
Yeah, oh gosh, I mean, you have to be, you know, you just really have to be being extraordinarily naive if you think that we could have battled that issue with the drugs. Because, I mean, it is no secret about who has to be involved in it in some way for it to have survived over 45 years. So from a perspective of love of my country, which is all what motivates me, and not decide, if one side doing good, I'll say it. If one side doing bad, I will say it. I will say it because I consider myself a true national of Trinidad and Tobago, and I hope that whatever I say is being motivated by that. So coming to your point about Venezuela too, it's far too complicated for you to make those definitive statements. Way too complicated. And I suggest that you go to an independent site to see the history of the United States with regard to its intervention and use of sanctions and weaponizing that to destroy economies. Please do not take, you know, don't take my word. I would say not take my word, but go and see it is true with Chavez, and I don't support any of these people, you know, but I support the people. The fact of the matter, we do have a problem with these Venezuelans in this country. The trend de Aragua has, however you pronounce it, is we know that it exists.
Yeah.
We know that there is drugs coming into this country. I spoke about a report from 2024 where we have the most number of Venezuelans living in this country than any country based on the size of our population, right? And a lot of them are involved in illegal activity. They're right. So please don't try to romanticize the Venezuelans here. They're using them. They're not contributing to NIS to a large extent. They are contributing to the issue of crime, as you read about them nearly every week or 2 weeks. So that's not something I'm making up. They need to go home. They need to go home. All the undocumented, not the documented ones, they need to go home. Because the reality is, and you need to get an independent source of what America has done to Venezuela when Chavez, what about all the good Chavez has done? How come a lot of them who come here to this country are engineers and doctors and highly qualified? Because he increased the number of universities. He improved conditions for the people at the low end, because the difference between the rich and the poor was so stark. And so I have been to Venezuela back in the day when I did international relations, which probably affects how I look at this. We were guests of the Venezuelan government, and all the favelas, you're going into the city, the whole sides of the mountains with just shacks, people with no running water, no electricity. He has done, Chavez and Maduro have done a lot for Venezuela. And what you have to remember, just like with us, when oil, they're the largest reserve of oil, crude oil in the world. Do you understand that? Largest. And so when you see that that Venezuela's economy suffered, just like ours, is when oil prices collapsed. And when the oil prices collapse, a lot of the social programs that made Chavez and Maduro very popular and very supportive and won his elections were then impacted by America coming in there and imposing sanctions where you can't access the billions of gold, dollars of US dollars of gold in the UK, the billions of dollars of currency, US currency, which America says no. If you use the SWIFT code, and you trade with them, we are going to blacklist you. We are being blacklisted right now. Why do you think we can't develop the Dragonfield and the Lauren Manatee? Because we are blacklisted because they blacklisted in Venezuela. They don't want us to pay Venezuela any money because they're making sure that the narrative that you hear is Maduro and Chavez destroyed the economy of the United States, and that America came like a savior on a stallion, a white stallion, to save Venezuela. Please, he said me to stop.
No, just because we have a caller waiting. Okay. San Fernando on the line, San Fernando back. So if quick, because we're running out of time too. Yeah.
Yes. I just wanted to say this. When you spoke up, when you said Dr. Ellis said he was wary of and I heard him say that he was wary of
regime change.
However, he did say that he worked with Edmundo Gonzalez.
Yes.
And Maria Machado.
Yes.
He did say that.
Yes.
And how they are such very good people. Now, Dr. Ellis still believes in a unipolar world where America is the dominant force. And I did not hear him espouse anything about understanding or willing to accept that we are going in a multipolar direction. I did not hear him say that. So I have to, and I have not seen it in his writing. So I have to assume that he still wants America, as he put, and is the United States War College. He's a professor.
Yes. Latin American Studies. It's the War College. I wasn't too sure on the title. Yeah.
Now, let me say this to the caller from Faizabad. Let me say this quickly.
Quick.
You know, look at the Ethiopian Renaissance Dam. When he talked about the Venezuelan issue with Guyana, and why it is that Guyana don't want this to go to the Court of Arbitration, and why nobody wants it to go to arbitration, is because they understand what will happen. Because there's somebody Guyana going to have to lose some territory.
Yeah.
They're going to have to lose if it goes to arbitration.
We need to deal with that.
Look at the Ethiopian Renaissance Dam and what Ethiopia did, and what happened in 1959, what the British did with Egypt, and understand why it is that Venezuela does have a legitimate case in that border issue. Have a great day.
Yeah, I want to say thank you. I just want to say this very quickly. The arbitral award situation, which we could go back and look at it again, the 1899 arbitral award, they have been never agreed for it to go to the International Court of Justice, although they are represented there, and that has not yet been settled. So it is being actively, quote unquote, being considered for the last few years. So it has not been settled whether Venezuela has a legitimate argument against saying part of that territory should be part of Venezuela because the arbitral award was corrupted or not supported by the Venezuelan people, but by the British who were, British who were there for Guyana and United States for Venezuela and all that good stuff. So it's a far more complicated thing than you are putting forward, Mr. Faizabat. All due respect to you.
I did want to say this, even before Mr. San Fernando contributed to that last point. The situation with Venezuela having aggressive action or talk towards Guyana and what the U.S. is doing, they're similar, they're connected, but they're not the same. One doesn't justify the other. Just because they were being aggressive with Guyana and putting troops on the border doesn't then say, oh, well, the United States could do that to them.
But they're saying it's their
right?
land.
No, but my point is,
land.
the caller was trying to, they're similar in this sense, and this is why I bring up Guyana, right? And I bring up Guyana only because if we're a zone of peace, regardless of what the arbitration is going to be, Venezuela potentially threatening military force to resolve this issue upsets the peace. And we are not, some sources, I think, they're neutral in one, they're neutral in the other. Some sources are very gung-ho with one and not gung-ho in the other. And I would just like to see if we're peaceful, let's be peaceful.
I have to say this. When I was a student, first year, doing law, you know how long ago that was? The issue with Venezuela and Guyana was a very live issue, and Guyana putting their troops on the, as a matter of fact, one of my class students, who I will not call her name because she's well known, her husband, who became her husband, was in the army. So this is going on about 40, 50 years.
I know that,
so it's not imminent. It's not imminent. America is imminent.
No, but I'm just saying with the international politics over most recent times.
Okay.
Right? It shows that the US has the biggest agenda. It's not the only agenda.
And the more aggressive one.
Right? Well, yes, in this case, and the more aggressive one, because they started actually shooting. Okay.
Oh, gosh.
And I'll just say this, the legality of what the U.S. is doing, right? I know, yes, they say it's about drugs, and we hope it's only about drugs. But even then, the legality of shooting first and asking questions later, I go back to the point that the pirates in Somalia, who one could argue they're foreign nationals attacking international ocean-going vessels. Even in that situation, the multinational naval task force, of which America was included, used rules of engagements more in line with law enforcement than with military prosecution of targets. They didn't just shoot up Somali pirates left, right, and center.
But they didn't have any interest. They didn't have any interest in it. They have interest in Venezuela. Come on.
So in terms of precedent set, the precedent is set, at least up until now. That's how you dealt with things like this. So we have to ask the question, what is your reason for going this
What's the
far?
difference?
Right, what's the difference? Exactly. Yes, I know people will speculate what the difference is, but I'm talking about the actual, what are they talking about, how they think the legalities will unfold, their justification, the people actually in the room. As Karen said, at some point it doesn't help speculating. It's not like we're talking about our government and we have a specific direct role to play as members of the media for it, right? Now, let me just make sure. A couple callers ago, there was the situation with regards to CPEP and looking to have vocational training, and Karen had to point out, well, some of the baseline education levels of the CPEP people might not be up to scratch to go to more advanced training. But I also wanted to point out, well, first of all, to support a point, I do remember, I don't have the article, so this is from memory, one secondary school teacher complaining of a recently SCA student who is now in Form 1, couldn't even write their name. Something ridiculous like that. So it is very true that there are people slipping through the cracks of the education system. We are not 98% literate. Let's just be frank. But the other thing with regards to CPEP ERP is it's actually two problems. One, it's getting back on track of training them to have a better career or better economic prospects. But then the other one, actually, Karen also pointed it out specifically with her initial presentation. The shortfall of income now also has to be addressed. So you have to kind of account for those two things. They don't need exorbitant salaries, but you took away money from the economy and money out of households. And an economy and a society doesn't function well if you just make a gap like that and hope that it works itself out, right? Especially when we're already on the strain. When you think about the cost of living and what the middle class and the lower class had to go through around the time of the war with Ukraine and post-COVID and all of that. So yeah, it's a dicey situation. And then of course, things like with the lack of sponsorship for programs and stuff, do you put a price on patriotism? Do you put a price on the national instrument? It's a balancing act, I get it. But we haven't heard any explanations towards that. So I'm not about to just assume, oh, well, you know, it's fine, because there's a pattern now. And if you say there's a defense, give it to us at the very least. And if you can't, then we have to ask the question, why? Not too dissimilar to what's going on with regards to why the Americans are shooting first and asking questions later. Last thing I need to close with, we have 2 comments. We'll take them back to back. Good morning. Professionalism preparation should exempt that time of contemplating, that waste time that does not justify denying that chirping in your ear. You're pretty assumed to get on with the show. Let's go with the next comment. This is at the top of the show, Karen. Maintain the veneer of professionalism at all costs. The public doesn't need to know the behind the scenes of the production. Also maintain your composure. You do good work. Keep up your standard. Here's the thing. Ironically, to some extent, just let's pull the curtain back. First of all, it wasn't my producer per se. I produced the show, which is part of the complexity of doing the show. When Karen is on, Karen helps produce the show. The majority of the show is with her. She rarely brings the segment, and I just mainly, you know, if there's any minor reason I think, oh, this might not work quite as well, but 99% of the time, Karen produces the show when she's on the show, except like the very beginning, right? Yes, I understand even a professionalism, but I think, ironically, what you see is what you get. I mean, yes, to some extent, this is how I am in real life. And my opinions are my genuine opinions.
I don't think they're only talking about you, you know. I think they're also talking
this was,
about how we interact on the show.
This was specifically about me, because of how I opened the show today.
Okay.
Right?
All right.
Now, in the past, I would have been a lot more subtle, because I have thrown out hints in the past, and people don't pick up on it, which usually is for the better. But this time, I just wanted to make a point. I am not afraid of publicly making points, because, ironically, that's what I do to the government. Now, you could say, yes, you should maintain your professionalism, but there's a catch, right? I'm not playing a character that's reading from a script. I am giving my thoughts on what is genuinely inside me and what I'm passionate about and what parts of it I'm passionate about, because I'm not always passionate about the totality of every issue. Sometimes I key in on specific things. And with that, it's not as simple as, well, the show is prepared and just start the show. I don't want to go on and on about it, because I understand where the comments are coming from, right? But let's just say I could have done it a lot more often over the last 4 years if I really wanted to. But if you want what I do, to some extent, parts of the process needs to be respected and allowed to happen. And that also includes, because there's no teleprompter. I'm not speaking from a script, I never do, right? To allow a chance for the information and the message and the opinions to get out, you can't necessarily put stumbling blocks in front of the person speaking. And I'll leave it there, because we'll go too much in the weeds of processes and who does what and how it should be and whatever. But the key point is, in order to get an authentic person, you have to give them room to be authentic. And I hope that most commentators...
That's a good way to put it.
Most commentators... and back to the point, Karen is not speaking from her agenda.
Not at all.
Equal opportunity critic, very authentic in her opinions. It doesn't matter what your background or whatever is. You do something she don't like, she'll say she don't like it. You do something she thinks is wrong, she'll say how it's wrong.
Back it up with facts.
And back it up with facts and history and all the stubbornness in between. So, but I appreciate the feedback, because at the end of the day, that's the whole point of Talking Point. We want to have the conversation, because I don't know if I say it enough, but before Talking Point, one of the things that I always thought about, Karen, is that how we treat with news and important events, the conversations are always limited in a rum shop kind of thing. And it goes back to what Claxton Bay said. People don't want to be candid in public forums, in meaningful ways, to put themselves out there. They'll be candid at a rum shop, in a social gathering, at a private event, amongst where they feel safe and hopefully no one's recording them, and then there'll be leaks, which we haven't happened yet, at least much in TNT. But to say that they're gonna actually go out there on TV, on radio, in the newspaper, letter to the editor, as a writer, and really be candid. Even we ourselves have practical limits for practical reasons. But there are certain things that we would say that not a lot of people will be willing to say. I've been told that we have to wrap up because we were over time. So with that said, remember your allegiance to the Republic and teachers. Stay safe. I want to thank all the callers and the commentators. And of course, thank you, Karen and Sheriff, for joining me once again. Folks, never forget, it's nice to be nice. Even when someone frustrates you, I should have been a little bit nicer this morning. With that said, we will see each other tomorrow. Bye-bye.
WESN